20 years ago, underground dungeons started appearing around the world. Things beyond people's imagination exist there, like monsters that rival the current military's firepower and an energy source called magic stones that are much more efficient than fossil fuel. There's also a game-like system turning into reality. Subjugating monsters gives experience points, and leveling up increases one's status. In addition, people get something called a skill when they fulfill certain requirements, and those who use their powers to subjugate monsters and earn a living are called adventurers. On the 15th floor of the D-rank Unagi dungeon, Amane Rin easily fights and kills goblins. He then checks his status and sees that he's successfully raising his level, but it's still not enough. Actually, there are top-class adventurers with levels over 100,000. To be fair, those are the ones who started adventuring 20 years ago. It might sound crazy for Rin, who only started last year to catch up. Anyway, clearing the Unagi dungeon gives 5 levels. The structures of dungeons are generally the same. There's only the entrance on the surface. Below that is what's known as the recall point, which is a huge space and the gate into the dungeon. Every dungeon has a boss on the lowest floor. And of course, successfully subjugating the boss and clearing the dungeon will provide level ups. There will be a few other rewards too. To be clear, a dungeon's difficulty varies. Level up rewards won't be affected by the number of people inside the dungeon at the same time, and everyone gets their own separate rewards. Because of this, adventurers often create parties to challenge difficult dungeons together. After someone challenges a dungeon, they'd have to wait for a week if they want to challenge it again. That aside, Rin knows it would be really efficient to be able to earn EXP after subjugating monsters repeatedly, but that's just impossible. Since information from challenging dungeons is shared around the world, you won't be able to challenge other dungeons as well. With the clear rewards from that dungeon, Rin will finally have the 100 skill points he needs to upgrade his dungeon teleportation skill to level 10. This is his very own unique special skill. When Rin was little, monsters that only appeared in dungeons got out to the surface. He did his best to protect his younger sister, and while they were fleeing, they were saved by an adventurer from a monster. That adventurer's silhouette stuck in Rin's mind. The moment he graduated high school and earned the right to become an adventurer, he immediately entered his first dungeon. But as expected, those who want to become an adventurer must first prove themselves. In the first year, an adventurer has a 10% chance of getting a status board, and if they get the status board, they'll have to see if they have any skills. Luckily for Rin, he discovered that he had 2 skills. The first one was body strengthening, which was a skill for someone who could move a lot. The other was dungeon teleportation. Rin had no idea what that was, but as it turned out, it was a skill no one had ever obtained. Dungeon teleportation was a cheat skill that would allow anyone to move around inside the dungeon. Thanks to this, many adventurers begged Rin to join their party. But the person who caught Rin's attention was Kazami Shin, who asked him to assist people like him and his comrades with special skills to make a new guild. He wanted to show those guilds sitting at the top what they were made of. To be honest, Rin had no interest in top guilds, but his chest started thumping when he imagined himself being super powerful. Although Rin joined Kazami's guild, his dungeon teleportation skill was only level 1 at that time. His teleportation range was only 5 meters, and the casting time for 1 meter was 10 seconds. Aside from that, Rin was the only one who could be teleported. Understandably, he couldn't help but feel that his skill was useless for battles, especially since it couldn't even be used for support. On the other hand, Kazami's unique skill was Lightning Strike. It didn't cost any MP, and the guy could freely control lightning. The power was already like a beginner's level 10 magic, when, in fact, it was just level 1. What about their other teammates? Well, they also had powerful unique skills. Not even a week had passed, and Rin's skill was already called useless. To make things worse, some started calling him a burden, but Kazami didn't want him to mind those people. No. Still, Rin felt bad even though his friend was cheering him up. When his dungeon teleportation skill became level 2, Rin decided to leave the guild because the only thing that changed was the casting time, from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. He then searched for Kazami to tell him about his decision, only to be shocked when he heard him talking to their comrade about his expulsion from the team. The other adventurer, a woman, didn't understand why they had to tolerate the useless dungeon teleporter and wait for him to quit himself, since Kazami believed they'd be one of the strongest guilds from there on out. He wanted to make sure that their image was clean. If they continued being nice to Rin, who'd been useless for a week, and he quit on his own volition, then their image wouldn't be damaged in any way. In the end, that's what it was. Only Rin's party members would have known that he was a burden, so obviously they were the ones spreading rumors about him. Still, Rin couldn't blame them, for it was true that he wasn't needed. After Rin told Kazami that he was quitting, the adventurer acted like he actually cared about him. Sad to say, Rin was already fed up with him and just left. That's how our boy ended up being solo. Some other guilds asked him to join them, and it was quite tempting for Rin, knowing how well it might affect his future. Despite that, he told them he didn't need teammates and rejected their offers. Even though his surroundings treated him as someone useless, he never thought of giving up. Rin wants to chase after the adventurer's silhouette in his mind, and he's always believed that dungeon teleportation isn't a useless skill. While upgrading it to level 10, Rin believes he'll get stronger too. Now, on the lowest floor of the Unagi dungeon, he faces the level 150 dungeon boss called Twin-Tail Beast. It isn't long before the teleporter kills the dungeon boss. This is his third time defeating a Twin-Tail Beast, and with the level gap this time, he beat it quite easily. As his level goes up by 5, Rin checks his status and successfully upgrades his dungeon teleportation skill to level 10. He's excited to see the changes this upgrade will make, but he becomes disappointed when the system lets him know he can only do 2 things. 1. Teleport inside the dungeon he's in, and 2. Teleport to the dungeons he's been to. That's all. Rin was hoping for other things, like faster casting time and the ability to teleport 9 other adventurers, excluding the caster. But alas, the world is unfair. There's no way it could have gone the way Rin wanted it to. According to the system, Rin could teleport to dungeons he's been to before. But all the dungeons are at least 1 km away from each other, so wouldn't that be pointless, since his teleportation range can't even reach that far? Rin then starts to glow, forcing him to quickly collect the magic stones since the glowing is telling him to return. The next time his skill might have a huge modification will be at level 20, but he knows how many years that could take. Guessing he's starting from square 1 again, Rin just decides to go home. Moments later, the teleporter passes by the E-rank Shion dungeon. You see, it was his first dungeon as a beginner. An adventurer can only get 1 level up per clear, and the monsters are very weak. In other words, it's a dungeon everyone would only go in a few times. For some reason, Rin approaches the Shion dungeon manager and shows her his adventurer's card. This card records one's name, age, and the dungeons they've challenged before. It also records the time they enter or leave a dungeon. As the manager finishes scanning Rin's card, she lets him inside and tells him to be careful. Alright, this right here is the Shion dungeon recall point. A recall point can be found in every dungeon, where adventurers teleport back to once the dungeon is cleared. The real deal lies beyond that gate. Unfortunately for Rin, he can't enter the dungeon because of the span. Some adventurers in the past even tried destroying the wall beside the gate, but it was protected by magic and wouldn't even budge. At this point, Rin recalls that he could teleport to dungeons he's been to before. He wonders if he could use dungeon teleportation to get inside, but he quickly realizes there's no way it will work. Still, he can test it for free, right? Concentrating hard, Rin uses his dungeon teleportation skill and manages to get inside the dungeon. He can't believe that he successfully did it, which means he might be able to bypass the span from now on. Then he can level up as much as he wants. But wait, calm down, Rin. Remember, even if you got in, it will be meaningless if you can't get level ups. It's too early to be happy, boy. How about challenging the dungeon first? An hour later, Rin defeats the dungeon boss and levels up by 1. Yay! This really turned into something unbelievable. As Rin celebrates, it becomes clear to him that he can just enter E-rank and D-rank dungeons on repeat instead of challenging A-rank dungeons. It will be much more efficient. Now that Rin knows this much, he challenges the dungeon many times until the sun goes down and levels up 9 times. That night, Rin hesitates to get inside their house because he's late for dinner. His sister Hana gets mad at him for being late, so he explains he lost track of time trying to level up. At the table, Rin enjoys the food Hana has prepared and exclaims it's the best in the world. Since he started spouting nonsense out of nowhere and rarely comes home late, Hana gets curious if something good happened to him. You're right, something good did happen, the teleporter says. Hana wants to know if it has something to do with the dungeons, and her brother confirms it. He just thinks his efforts are finally paying off. Upon hearing that, Hana smiles at her brother and tells him it's great. She thinks that Rin doesn't have what it takes to be an adventurer, and she constantly worries about his well-being. For that, Rin will forever be grateful. A few years ago, their parents went missing while traveling overseas. As a result, Rin and Hana were forced to live with the money they left behind. Sadly, it wasn't enough for them. Rin then started challenging dungeons to earn a living, but buying equipment with money earned from ED rank dungeons is insufficient, so sometimes they don't even have any savings. Despite that, Hana supports Rin as he continues being an adventurer, which the teleporter really appreciates. Now, Hana thinks Rin should challenge C rank dungeons. Everyone knows that the difficulty skyrockets from D rank to C rank, and the minimum level required is 500. With how fast Rin is leveling up at the moment, it will take him at least a year if he's being positive. He considers telling Hana about his upgraded dungeon teleportation skill, only to realize it's not something he should share with his sister. Rin's ability can bypass what every single person is being obstructed by, the span. Those people definitely won't feel good knowing that. and they might even attack Rin and Hana out of jealousy and madness. It might be okay to tell his sister about this, but just to be safe, Rin chooses to keep it to himself. When asked what's wrong, Rin admits to Hana that it might take a while for him to challenge C-rank dungeons. Well, truth be told, that's what the lady expected him to say. The next day, Rin checks on his computer the dungeons he can challenge. If he prioritizes efficiency, Unagi dungeon might be the best choice. He's sure that he'll get 5 levels in about 2 hours and 25 levels if he does one run every weekday. The only problem is, the Unagi dungeon has rich resources. So many adventurers go there and a lot of them pass by the recall point. Rin worries that he might be seen using his dungeon teleportation skill. While the Shion dungeon has fewer people, it also has fewer rewards. This means that Rin's only option is the D rank Umemi dungeon. Its recommended level is 120, and it's pretty easy for people who are pushing levels between 120 500. But since it's very big, it takes around 3 hours to earn 5 levels. That's what makes it somewhat difficult. In this dungeon, Rin will get 10,000 yen for all the magic stones per run, 15 levels, and 30,000 yen if he does it 3 times every week. Knowing that the monsters there give less EXP and the items they drop have very little value, Rin deduces that Umemi is a very unpopular dungeon. Then, that's decided. Later, Rin heads to the Umemi dungeon and teleports inside. If he's not mistaken, he cleared this dungeon 3 months ago. Monsters that spawn here are goblins, kobolds, and grey wolves. Actually, the short sword Rin's using was a drop from that dungeon. Additionally, he got a plus 60 80k upgrade and a pretty good weapon from beating the boss in that dungeon for the first time. He had a hard time dealing with grey wolves before, but now, they're no match for him. Just as Rin thought, in this leveling system world, leveling up is a really big deal. After 3 hours, Rin reaches the boss room and finds a level 160 harpy inside. It sings to put adventurers to sleep, but with enough IMM, it'll have no effect on anyone. It's still troublesome though, because it will only calm down once it attacks. That said, Rin came prepared. With no time to waste, Rin throws an explosive stone at the harpy and waits for it to come at him. Once the monster is close enough, he immediately stabs it and defeats it, earning him 5 level ups. Awesome! Rin plans to clear this dungeon as many times as he can for today, but before anything else, he must first collect the magic stones. As Rin glows, he's reminded that it's time for him to go. He then challenges the Umemi dungeon 2 more times after that, and that day, his level goes up by 15. This proves that dungeon teleportation is not a useless skill, and with it, Rin intends to reach the top faster than anyone has. At home, Rin decides to use his 200 SP. Since he doesn't have enough to upgrade his dungeon teleportation, he just focuses on his body strengthening. After all, it increases his attack, defense, and speed. It's crucial for a close-quarter combat adventurer like Rin. At the same time, he upgrades his item box. He was hesitant about getting this before, but now, he'll be free from carrying his stuff. For the next 4 days, Rin runs around the Umemi dungeon and continues to level up. His level goes up by 150, and because of that, he thinks reaching level 100,000 might not be a dream. Just then, Rin's daily routine of sweeping the Umemi dungeon has a sudden change. Why? Because that day is a Saturday and there are more adventurers during the weekend. Although dungeon teleportation is basically a cheat skill, it will only spell trouble for Rin if people find out about it. So the teleporter has to be careful about where and when he uses it. On the lowest floor of the Umemi dungeon later, Rin thinks about how it's already his 5th run and wants to keep up the pace. With that speed, he might be able to go for 10 runs. However, Rin gets distracted because of the commotion behind him. Some adventurers are in a hurry to leave the dungeon after seeing countless monsters, saying they have to survive, even if it's just them. After that, Rin hears someone screaming for help and immediately uses high-speed movement to find whoever that is. Soon, he spots a girl surrounded by grey wolves, and as he looks at her, he wonders if she's a magic type. There's no way a magic type can do solo runs inside a dungeon. At that moment, Rin realizes that the adventurers he saw abandoned the girl. As the monsters lunge at the lady, Rin takes his sword and decapitates them. He then assures her that it's alright now before killing the rest of the grey wolves. Afterward, Rin returns his sword to his item box, much to the girl's surprise. Rin offers his hand to the lady and asks if she's okay, noting that she's kind of cute, but looks younger than him. Blushing, the girl says she's fine and points out that she just got scared a little earlier. She also thanks Rin for helping her and takes his hand as she gets up, only to trip and almost fall again. Luckily, our boy is quick to catch her. Embarrassed, the girl puts a distance between her and Rin as if she's trying to evade a monster. That makes the teleporter think that she hated it that much, so he apologizes and explains he was only trying to help her. Surprisingly, the lady admits there's no way she'd hate what he did. Again, she thanks Rin for his help and introduces herself as Kasai Yui, saying she'll become a 3rd year in high school next month. Ever since she was 17, she's been adventuring inside the dungeons during the weekend. Right, people can do this when they turn 17 now. If only that rule was changed 1 year earlier, Rin could have also started adventuring when he was still in high school. That's something that really frustrates him. When he asks the girl why she's all alone, she reveals she joined a party today at the last minute and entered that dungeon. But when they saw the Grey Wolves, her party just left her alone. Rin already knew that that's what happened, but he still can't believe it, especially because it's a heavy crime to abandon one's teammates. For now, he suggests they move and asks Yui to follow him. Rin leads the adventurer outside the boss room, where he explains it will be faster for them to return to the recall point from there. He wonders if there's a problem since Yui looks nervous, so she asks if they're really going to challenge the boss. To be fair, it's just the two of them, and the girl thinks that Rin might be exhausted from fighting the Grey Wolves. As the party before them finishes their run, the boss room opens and the teleporter confidently steps inside. "Don't worry," he tells Yui. "Who do you think I am?" Yui has no idea and asks Rin who he is. Nice. Rin then introduces himself and the two agree to call each other by their given names since Yui knows another Amane. Now, it's time to face the Harpy. With a single slash, Rin cuts the Harpy's body in half. As a result, his level goes up to 399 while Yui becomes level 85. Does that mean she was just level 80 earlier? Since the girl entered that dungeon with the basic level requirement, Rin thought she was a magic type. Looking at the girl's staff and mantle, Rin asks if she's a healer, to which Yui replies that she is. There's a variety of adventurers, but because healers are rare, people still invite them even if they're low level. Anyway, the two adventurers start to glow, prompting Rin to quickly collect the magic stones. Once they return to the recall point, Yui sees the adventurers who abandoned her. They're talking about how they feel bad for her, but at the same time, they stress that they didn't have a choice. They also don't know what they'll tell the gatekeeper because only 4 of them came out when 5 members entered the dungeon. Seeing that Yui is uncomfortable, Rin asks her to stay behind him. Then, the other adventurers finally notice Yui, unable to believe that she's still alive. While one of the guys asks Yui how she survived, the party leader tells him to shut up and expresses relief that the girl is safe before trying to approach her. Rin then stops him from getting closer to them, so the leader asks who he is. But Rin has no intention of revealing his identity, simply saying he learned from Yui how they ran away from the Grey Wolves and used her as bait. He also lets them know he's reporting everything to the dungeon manager, making the adventurers panic. If Rin reports them, their qualifications will be immediately revoked. Pissed, the party leader takes out his sword to get rid of Yui and Rin. It's their only choice because they broke the rules just to survive, and they can't afford to lose their privileged class now. He wants his teammates to help him too, making it clear they have to clean up their mess before other adventurers come. Naturally, Rin is disgusted that the adventurers will kill them just for their privileged class. He's aware that adventurers get all the fame and fortune just for entering the dungeon for a quick second, and one won't be able to work as an average person after experiencing that. Nevertheless, the fact remains that these adventurers left Yui to die, and Rin knows that it's pointless to talk to the party leader. He just wants to get this over with, assuring Yui there's nothing to worry about. Despite not knowing the adventurers' levels, Rin is confident they won't stand a chance against him. If they were strong, they wouldn't have run away from the Grey Wolves. As Rin stands protectively in front of Yui, the party leader notices he's not carrying any weapons and calls him an idiot. Really? This is where the teleporter tries to make him understand that if Yui is fine, then someone must have defeated the Grey Wolves. "I think you at least know who did it, right?" Rin asks the leader, leaving him stunned. Enraged, the guy orders his magic user teammate to attack. The woman comes at Rin with a fireball, but the dungeon teleporter easily deflects it with his hand. Next, he charges at the party tank, who uses counter impact. That's the skill that makes the attackers receive their own attacks. The MP cost goes up according to how strong the attack is, so Rin delivers a powerful blow that destroys the tank's shield. To enlighten the shocked adventurer, Rin explains that it's simply a power gap. In other words, the tank doesn't have the MP to counter Rin's attack. Oh well. Since the tank is now wide open, Rin punches him in the gut and mocks him for being careless. Meanwhile, the leader can't believe what he's just seen. He demands to know if Rin is actually a strong adventurer who only came there to make fun of them. But you know, that's not the teleporter's hobby. He then deals with the team leader and his other comrade, but their fight doesn't even last a minute. As Rin knocks the guys out, he asks the magic user if she wants to continue. Thankfully, she's not foolish enough to think she can defeat Rin on her own and just gives up. After talking to the police and some officials, Rin and Yui finally leave the dungeon. Because of what the adventurers did to Yui, they will receive a heavy punishment. As they reach the train station, Yui thanks Rin once more for helping her, saying she doesn't know what would have happened to her if he wasn't in the dungeon. Helping Yui isn't a problem for the guy, but he wants her to prepare next time before entering a dungeon and choose her teammates carefully. Feeling bad, Yui promises she'll do that and asks Rin how she can contact him. She shares that she's always wanted to meet an adventurer she can trust, and aside from that, she wants to pay Rin back for what he did for her today. So, the two exchange phone numbers, and for the first time in a while, Rin sees a girl smile again. Then, Yui bids Rin goodbye before he boards the train. On his way home, Rin feels that being level 399 is odd, so he clears a quick dungeon and reaches level 400. Back home, he uses his 510 SP to upgrade his dungeon teleportation to level 11. This time, his casting range has been modified from 20 meters to 50 meters. He only uses it to get into dungeons though, which is why he doesn't think it will make much of a difference. But suddenly, Rin thinks of trying something new. The following day, Rin heads to the Umemi dungeon and is relieved he wasn't greeted by the same receptionist as yesterday. As he enters the dungeon, he prepares to move between floors using his skill. It takes minutes to get to the next floor, but if he's able to use this shortcut, his runs can become faster. Rin has been thinking about this for quite some time now, but it was impossible before since he wasn't good enough. Well, that's no longer the case. With 10 meters between each floor, Rin must set his teleportation to 10 meters too. Upon successfully moving to the next floor, Rin rejoices and intends to go for 50 meters for the next one. He'll skip 5 floors in one fell swoop. Moments later, Rin finds himself on the bottom floor of the dungeon. His level also goes up by 5 after defeating the boss, surprising him that it only took him 10 minutes for one run when it used to be 1 hour. With this, Rin is sure he can level up way faster and decides to go for another run. But with only 150 MP remaining, he fails to teleport again. Okay, let's take a look at Rin's problems here. First of all, a single run already cost him 450 MP. And second, MP recovery potions cost way too much. Does he really have no choice? At this point, he thinks about reducing the MP cost. Trying it right away, Rin sets the range to 2 meters and activates his dungeon teleportation skill. Again, Rin successfully teleports, and he notes that the MP cost was reduced to a 1 out of 5. Thanks to that, it will be easier for him to go for another 7-8 runs. By the time the teleporter finishes, his level has gone up by 5. He barely has any MP left, so he'll just have to do it the usual way from there. In the end, Rin manages to make 14 runs. His level is 470 and he has 700 SP saved up. In addition, he's got some new skills called Magic Up and Magic Recovery. Rin is satisfied with what he's accomplished today, but tomorrow, he's determined to go for more efficient runs. The following day, Rin finishes his 17th run in the Umemi dungeon and levels up again. He's completed the required amount of times that dungeon must be cleared, so as a bonus, his level goes up by 15. The system then informs him that starting that day, he won't be able to challenge Umemi dungeon anymore. To the guy's surprise, he obtains the title Dungeon Destroyer. As he returns to the recall point, Rin wonders if every person can only clear the same dungeon for a certain number of times. Whatever the case, this looks like another secret he'll have to keep to himself. That aside, he checks his status and sees that he'll have to clear 10 dungeons to get the bonus for being a dungeon destroyer. Although Rin's a bit sad that he can no longer challenge the Umemi dungeon, he's thrilled that he's got a new goal. The next day, Hana is shocked that her brother overslept and reveals she tried waking him up so many times that she thought he already died or something. In Rin's defense, he wasn't getting enough rest. If that's the case, Hana suggests he take a break once in a while. She also asks if Rin has anything to do today and learns he plans to go to another dungeon, getting irritated that he's not listening to her. She just told him to take a break, but Rin still wants to work. As Rin agrees with his sister, Hana asks him to shop with her and hold her stuff. With no other choice, Rin leaves with Hana and follows her wherever she goes before sitting on a bench to eat some crepe. While Rin reluctantly shares his food with his sister, Yui suddenly shows up and asks why he's with Hana. As it turns out, Yui is Hana's senior at school, and when she asks her brother how he knew the girl, she discovers he met her in a dungeon a while ago. Embarrassed, Yui apologizes for speaking to Rin and thinks Yui is his girlfriend. The mortified teleporter then asks if the Amane Yui was talking about in the dungeon was his sister, and as the lady confirms it, she assumes the two of them are married. Whoa, this girl is really smart. In a restaurant later, Yui deeply apologizes to the siblings who don't really mind what happened. After that, Rin treats the ladies to some dessert and talks to them about school. Hana invites Yui to come with them after they eat, and while the girl is a bit reluctant, Rin points out that his sister is really troublesome when it comes to shopping. Simply put, Yui shouldn't sweat it. He'd be glad if Yui could lend him a hand. But as he looks at the girls, he realizes they don't like what he's saying. Nailed it. Upon finishing their food, Rin follows Yui and Hana to a clothes shop, where the girls immediately get busy looking for things to buy. With nothing else to do, Rin just goes outside to buy something to drink and accidentally spills soda on his shirt. In the men's room, he quickly cleans up and returns to the store to look for Hana and Yui. For some reason, the healer is all alone, and some guys are pestering her. The men are forcing Yui to come and have fun with them. Even though Yui refuses, they just won't take no for an answer. Wasting no time, Rin steps in and lets the guys know that Yui is with him. Just like that, the men start walking away, and that reminds Rin of when the party leader stopped approaching Yui when he told him to. Once the men are gone, Rin apologizes to Yui for being too slow, but the lady disagrees with him, stressing that he saved her so many times. At that moment, Rin pats the healer's head and gets shocked by what he did, realizing he just mixed Yui up with Hana. He's worried that the girl will report him and says he's sorry, but Yui confesses she'd like it if he does it more. Awkward. Meanwhile, Hana returns with ice cream and teases the two. This third dessert is the reason why she left Yui earlier, and understandably, all her brother can do is stare at her. For the next couple of days, Rin continuously levels up as he repeatedly challenges the Shion dungeon. His dungeon teleportation skill reaches level 12 too. After he completes his 200th run, he successfully clears the dungeon and gets 15 level ups as a bonus. Of course, like the Umemi dungeon, Rin won't be able to challenge Shion anymore. When he gets home, Rin thinks about how he'll allocate his 2310 SP. Opening his status window, he wonders what he should choose from and just opts to wait until he finds the next dungeon before he makes his decision. The truth is that he wants to challenge a C rank dungeon soon. It would be great if it's just near his house, where there are no mobs with status debuff attacks, so he won't struggle soloing. After a few minutes, the Kenzaki dungeon catches Rin's attention while he's checking his computer. Its recommended level for soloing is 600. Here, Rin could use hit and run tactics to level up his toughness and high-speed movement skills. Rin wants to try it tomorrow, but he remembers that right now, he's in a cooldown period. Later on, the dungeon teleporter spends a week killing low-level monsters in the Unagi dungeon. While regaining his battle sense, he gets over 1 million and increases his level by 3. If he includes the money he got from the Umemi dungeon, he'll have over 2 million yen. For now, Rin just wants to treat Hana to an expensive meal, but tomorrow, he'll finally enter his first C-rank dungeon. When he reaches the Kenzaki dungeon the next day, Rin is disappointed to see many people. This only proves that adventurers are commonly C-rank. They all seem to be equipped well, and everyone's in a party except for Rin. It's not like he cares though. However, he gets curious when he hears some adventurers talking about a party with members having unique skills. According to the men, those adventurers have reached level 2000 a year after their debut. Moreover, they've been invited by various famous guilds, but they've turned them all down. These adventurers are none other than Kazami and his teammates, and as they approach, our boy wonders why they're there. Kazami never thought he'd see Rin in that place, but still, he enthusiastically greets his old comrade. Needless to say, Rin is just as surprised as Kazami is, but unlike the guy, he can't bring himself to wear a fake smile. All of a sudden, the dungeon teleporter recalls Kazami bad-mouthing him before he left their guild. Still, he just chooses not to say anything. On the other hand, Kazami asks Rin to introduce him to his party members and learns that he's soloing. At first, he doesn't believe Rin because one needs to be at least level 600 to be able to solo clear that dungeon, only to discover that the teleporter has reached that level. Kazami then admits that he's surprised, saying he's been worried about Rin since he left their group. Now, it's become clear to him that Rin is doing well on his own. "Well said," replies Rin as he slowly smiles and enjoys the moment. Since he heard from other adventurers that Kazami and his teammates were over level 2000, Rin asks the guy why they would come to the Kenzaki dungeon. This is where Kazami introduces the newest member of their party, Kurosaki Rei, who just became an adventurer a few months ago. Kazami invited her to their party because she has a useful, unique skill, and today they're accompanying her to level up. Moreover, she reached over level 500 in just 3 months. Understandably, the dungeon teleporter can't believe that she's that good. Kazami then cuts the chatter and walks past Rin, but Rei stays behind to talk to him. She heard from Kazami and the others that Rin was an incompetent adventurer who used to be a member of their party, but she doesn't think that's true. She can see that Rin is confident, and that's not the behavior of someone who is incompetent. Not sure why the lady is telling him this, Rin asks Rei if her party treats her harshly. But the truth is, she gets a lot of support, and she doesn't have any complaints. Well, actually there is one, their party name. She wants to know what Rin thinks about it. A year ago, Kazami declared that they were all geniuses with unique skills and that they'd be at the pinnacle of unique skill users in no time. That only meant they would be kings, so their party name should be King of Unique. Yeah, Rin thinks it's lame. Because of this, Rei feels ecstatic that she's finally able to share what she's feeling with someone. Then, she asks Rin to just call her by her first name. After that, our boy finally enters the C-rank dungeon. The air feels different inside, and as if on cue, level 400 orcs show up early. It's not like it's a problem though. To be honest, Rin can't wait to get started. The Kenzaki dungeon consists of 30 levels in total. The monsters there are orcs, horned rabbits, and red boars. The boss at the lowest level is a high orc, and if Rin defeats it, he'll be rewarded with 20 levels and an explosive magic stone worth 100,000 yen. If this is someone's first attempt and they finish with a sword, they'll be given a Kenzaki sword with a plus 680k. That said, Rin fearlessly faces the brown orcs with pig features. With no time to waste, he throws explosive stones at the monsters to confuse them before killing them one by one with his blade. Once he's done, he takes their magic stones and one of their stone axes. As expected of a C-rank dungeon, the drop is even better than his weapon. After placing the axe in his item box, Rin thinks about how it's been a while since he fought strong monsters, and notes that the tension is really different. Rin then continues exploring the dungeon and comes across a level 400 horned rabbit, which is much smaller than he thought. To his surprise, the creature suddenly leaps to attack, but he knows exactly how to deal with it. He easily gets rid of the horned rabbit with his blade, and as a result, he gains some EXP and levels up. Next, Rin finds a level 450 red boar 15 levels below ground. He realizes that red boars really attack in a straight line when the monster comes at him, and as he tries to deliver a blow, he discovers that its skin is too thick to deal any damage. At that moment, Rin takes the stone axe and hits the boar in the head, causing him to gain more EXP and level up. He knows that the red boar can fetch him quite some money, but the problem is, he can't put it inside his item box. With no other choice, Rin just looks for more monsters to kill and continues to level up for the next few hours. Then, when he enters the boss room, he is shocked to see how big the level 600 high orc is. Also, he almost gets crushed when the high orc tries to hit him with its club, but luckily, he's quick to move. As Rin sees the now destroyed spot where he used to stand, it dawns on him that he could lose half of his HP if he gets hit. To put it simply, defending is a no-go. Refusing to give up, Rin repeatedly runs around the high orc before cutting its throat. When the boss shows it can still fight, Rin strikes it everywhere with his blade until it drops its club. For the finishing move, the dungeon teleporter stabs the high orc in the neck. Thanks to that, his level goes up by 20, and he didn't even lose a single MP or HP. That only means he's definitely growing. Now it's time to collect the loot. Rin gets the high orc's magic stone and its club. He is sure he won't be able to use the big and heavy weapon, but he can still sell it. Also, he's happy that he's got an explosive magic stone. But where's the Kenzaki sword? Rin is sure he's met all the requirements to obtain it, but he just chooses to check it out when he gets back. However, he notices that the teleportation magic is late. Then, the system informs him that his solo attempt at clearing that dungeon has been confirmed, as well as the fact that he used a sword to kill the dungeon boss. Aside from that, it's been confirmed that he doesn't possess the swordsmanship skill. Since the Nameless Swordsman condition has been completed, an extra boss called Nameless Knight will appear. To Rin's shock, a level 1100 Nameless Knight appears before him. As of the moment, the dungeon teleporter is only level 808, so this fight will definitely be challenging. Naturally, Rin can't believe his eyes. I mean, an extra boss? This hasn't been seen before in the Kenzaki dungeon. Rin is the first one to encounter that boss. And as much as he hates to admit it, there's almost no chance a level 808 like him can beat the Nameless Knight. And until Rin defeats the Nameless Knight or he's killed, the doors to the boss room won't open. In other words, the only way for him to get out of there is to kill the extra boss. Without warning, the Nameless Knight comes at Rin with its sword. The dungeon teleporter can only parry the fast attacks, but of course, he has to fight back somehow. But then, he takes so much damage from the extra boss after getting kicked, which shows the big difference in their strengths. Despite that, Rin understands the Nameless Knight's characteristics now. The boss specializes in that frightful offensive power and durability, but when it comes to speed, Rin is slightly faster. His only choice is to look for a gap and target the weak-looking elbows and knees. From there on out, Rin swears he won't let the Nameless Knight do as it pleases. He then dodges all of the boss's attacks until he sees an opening and manages to cut off its arm. He plans to get the Nameless Knight's left arm like that too, but the boss immediately grabs him to stop him from moving. Was this the boss's plan all along? It used its right arm as bait on purpose, which Rin finds hard to believe. Who would have thought that a monster with this kind of intelligence exists? Before Rin can even do anything, the Nameless Knight kicks him in the gut and sends him crashing against the doors. From 5780, he's only left with 985 HP. Is this the end for Rin? Will he die in this C-rank dungeon? Rin tried his best to avoid certain death, but taking a simple kick left him with little HP. As he sees the boss pick up its sword, he believes there's no chance for him to win. All of a sudden, he remembers his dungeon teleportation skill. Since he's in front of the doors, he might be able to escape to the other side. Yes, it's his best shot. To buy some time, Rin throws an explosive magic stone at the Nameless Knight before activating his unique skill. At this point, Rin recalls how his skill was called useless by those around him. Still, he never stopped persevering and just ignored what everyone was saying. The old Rin would have quit being an adventurer, but that guy is long gone. Now, Rin smiles as he teleports behind the Nameless Knight. After throwing the explosive magic stone at the Nameless Knight, Rin did two things before activating dungeon teleportation. First, he restored his health from 985 to 1985 with some intermediate health potion. Next, he selected a new skill, Toughness. Aware that this is his last chance, Rin stabs the Nameless Knight in the back, literally, and when his blade breaks, he hits the same spot with his axe. But before he can hit it again, the boss turns to face him and prepares to retaliate. Not wanting to give the Nameless Knight a chance, Rin quickly cuts off its left arm. Then, he catches the boss's sword and uses it to cut the knight's body in half. At last, Rin defeats the extra boss. Aside from gaining EXP and leveling up, he also obtains the title Nameless Swordsman. In the end, the dungeon teleporter has earned 82 level ups. But more importantly, the real reward for him is the Nameless Knight's sword. Since he just lost his blade, Daydreaming Dagger, it's only right for him to keep this new powerful sword that he wants to call Nameless. Afterward, Rin checks his new title, the Nameless Swordsman, and learns that his weapons become more effective when he levels up. Simply put, this is a ridiculously strong title. In any case, Rin plans to use it as best as he can. He needs to get going now, but he can't help but feel bad that he wasn't able to collect the Nameless Knight's magic stone, which got destroyed inside its body. Despite that, Rin should still celebrate because he's already level 890. The morning after his battle to the death with the Nameless Knight, Rin goes to a place near the Kenzaki dungeon in the heart of the city. There, he's greeted by a store clerk who wants to see his adventurer's card. This place is a weapon store, but only those with an adventurer's license can buy stuff here. Why did he come here when he already has the Nameless Knight's sword, you ask? Well, before leaving the Kenzaki dungeon yesterday, Rin tested the blade on some monsters on the 15th floor. Just as he expected, he easily dealt damage to his enemies upon equipping the Nameless Sword. His attack power went up too, but his movement became a little dull. Furthermore, this special effect wouldn't be activated if his opponent was weaker. Oh, there's something else. Rin's handling ability of daggers would also change. To understand how to use both a knife and a longsword properly, he planned to buy a dagger when he returned to the surface. So that's what brought him to the weapons store. Seeing that Rin is a D-rank adventurer, the clerk guides him to the aisle where the products for D-rankers are placed. After clearing the C-rank dungeon yesterday, Rin didn't apply to update his rank because if he tells the dungeon supervisor that he finished it, he won't be able to challenge it again for a week. That aside, Rin tells the store clerk that he wants to check the C-rank department and doesn't even wait for her response. As he takes a look at the weapons, Rin sees that the ones with special features are very expensive. It's a good thing that he doesn't need those. Then, Rin asks the store clerk to show him the Kirikuchi dagger, which was given as a reward for subjugating the boss of the Kirikuchi dungeon alone. Once he has the blade, Rin feels like its performance will be good, even though it doesn't have any special features. The level limitation isn't a problem either. Excited, Rin immediately tries to pay 2 million for the weapon. However, the clerk asks him to reconsider since the dagger is really expensive. At the same time, she points out that D-rank adventurers can't even wield the Kirikuchi dagger. So Rin assures her it's okay and takes money from his item box, saying he understands the blade's value and making it clear that he can afford it. Just like that, the lady agrees to sell the dagger to Rin, who goes to the Kenzaki dungeon to start his strategy again. There, he levels up and switches out his weapons. For him, it's a lot simpler to defeat the monsters than before. After killing a red boar, Rin upgrades his item box and forces to put the boar inside it. Later, on the 30th floor basement, Rin hides his new dagger and takes out his Nameless Sword. Why? Because he wants to test the effect of the title he received yesterday. To up the performance of the Nameless Sword, he should use it for the boss fight. As he enters the boss room, Rin vows to beat up the High Orc head on. In seconds, he's able to wound the monster, but he's curious as to how many strikes it can withstand. Eventually, Rin successfully subjugates the High Orc, and as usual, he gains some EXP and 20 level ups. This time, there's no extra boss for the dungeon teleporter to fight. Anyway, Rin checks his status and sees that his attack power went up quite a bit. Upon taking the High Orc's magic stone, Rin teleports to the recall point and realizes it's just past 4 PM. He still has enough stamina to go for one more round, but if he does a speedrun using his teleportation, he believes he could do it 4 to 5 times. As he proceeds to explore the dungeon, he notes that there are usually a lot of people in that place and wonders if there's a good spot he can teleport to without being seen. Suddenly, someone calls Rin from behind. When he turns around, he sees Rei all by herself and notices that the sword she's holding seems like it's shaking. He doesn't question the lady about it though. Instead, he asks her about Kazami and the others and learns she doesn't want to be with them all the time. Yesterday, they judged that she could probably make it to the 10th floor on her own, so she came to that dungeon to raise her level. Rei is definitely over level 500. Even though subjugating the level 600 High Orc may be difficult, she can still fight the beasts on the shallower floors. On another note, Rin has to consider that acquaintances like Rei may be around while he's making his laps. If he runs into her while doing that, she will surely get suspicious. That said, he quickly bids Rei goodbye, but the lady grabs his hand and says this is a great opportunity for them to go together. A few minutes after bumping into Rei, Rin feels so awkward that he decides to ask what her age and hobbies are. Yikes! Aren't those questions for blind dates? Luckily, Rei doesn't mind sharing that she's 17 years old, but she refuses to reveal her hobbies. She then asks Rin the same questions, to which the guy replies he's 19. He wonders if he should tell her that he likes spending time with his sister, but since that might sound weird, he just says he likes reading manga and playing video games. For some reason, Rei starts blushing and looks away. It seems like she's interested, but Rin thinks it's better if he changes the topic. As Rei tries to ask him another personal question, he stresses they should keep their guard up since the monsters might show up any moment. He didn't mean to cut Rei off, but when he asks her to repeat what she said, the lady just walks away. That's when the two find themselves face to face with some orcs. Without hesitation, Rin chooses to take the two on the left, while Rei opts to take the orcs on the right. With his dagger, Rin comes at one of the orcs and notices that its skin is stronger than usual. At the same time, its attacks are heavier. That's not the power of a normal orc, and the dungeon teleporter has no idea what's going on. Using one of his skills, Identify, Rin discovers that the orcs they're fighting are level 600. It means he can't take the situation lightly and that he must go all out. Wasting no time, Rin charges and stabs one of the orcs before decapitating the other. Meanwhile, Rei easily cuts off the heads of the remaining orcs with her sword, even though they're 5 meters away from her. With their enemies defeated, Rin asks Rei about her weapon and learns it's her unique skill, Magic Blade. It can create swords with special features, and it's made with wind as an image. It's also very convenient it stretches. Isn't that amazing? A sword that can create anything. There are limits in terms of skill level and MP amount though. But even taking that into consideration, for Rin, it's still a good skill. Blushing, Rei remarks that the guy is amazing too. She heard from Kazami that he was weak, but now she's realized it was a lie. Otherwise, Rin's move from earlier would be unexplainable. This time, it's the dungeon teleporter's turn to blush, as he thanks Rei for the compliment. Afterward, Rin asks Rei if she noticed that the orcs were stronger. When the girl says she did, Rin shares that he checked the orcs' status and saw that they were level 600. Having the same level as the boss is weird, so Rin suggests they investigate what's happening. The two then search 5 levels of the dungeon until they find some monster eaters. Normally, when a monster is defeated, it will be absorbed by the dungeon. But sometimes, monsters with magic stones are not being absorbed, and when other creatures eat them, their strength increases. Seeing these monster eaters now, Rin believes that the orcs they fought earlier came from that place. Will the problem be solved if Rin and Rei defeat the monster eaters? Well, the answer is yes. And the dungeon teleporter wants to get it over with before any more damage is done. Leave it to me, Rei tells Rin before killing several monsters with a single slash of her sword. That attack is effective, yes, but since there are still some monsters left, Rin wants to help Rei get rid of them. Once they kill the remaining monster eaters, the two collect the magic stones and burn the corpses with Rei's fireblade. Rin thanks Rei for helping and being with him, but the lady makes it clear she couldn't do anything without his knowledge. So, they're just even. Curious, Rei asks Rin why he became an adventurer. Honestly, the dungeon teleporter has never shared his reason with anyone other than Hana. He reveals to Rei that long ago, an adventurer saved him and his sister, and he admired the guy's back and his strength. Rin also felt that he wanted to be that strong, and that's something Rei respects. When she asks if Rin knows who their savior was, he says he doesn't, and adds that if that man is an active adventurer, he's definitely a top-class one. To Rin's surprise, Rei thanks him and expresses how glad she is to hear his story. They then continue exploring the dungeon, and while doing so, Rin realizes that adventuring with someone is not that bad. The following day, Rin returns to the Kenzaki dungeon and carries on with his strategy 15 times. In one day, his level goes up by 301 and he earns over 3 million yen. He also uses his dungeon teleportation skill to gain levels quickly, but he only hunts red boars. After subjugating the High Orc for the 20th time, he gets more level ups and earns 4 million. His only problem is his item box, because even though he's just upgraded it to level 4, it's still over capacity. The next day, the dungeon teleporter does the exact same thing and faces the High Orc for the 23rd time. In no time, Rin defeats the boss and gets 20 level ups. In addition, he's reached the maximum number of times the Kenzaki dungeon can be cleared, which is why he gains 50 levels as a bonus reward. From now on, he'll no longer receive any rewards for finishing that dungeon. Rin is thrilled that he's finally completed the Kenzaki dungeon, and on top of that, he's saved up quite a bit of SP too. How should he use them? First, his priority should be to raise his strength and movement speed. If it's just those two, then he can raise them both to level 10. Rin can also raise enemy search, secrecy, and abnormal condition resistance, which would still leave him with 610 SP. Well, I'll do just that. Rin feels good after using his SP, and compared to a few minutes before, he knows that his true strength should be an order of magnitude times greater. After 3 days, Rin breaks through the Yunagi dungeon safely and gains 15 level ups as a bonus reward. Just like before, the system informs him that he'll no longer receive rewards for completing that dungeon. That night, while checking his status, Rin realizes that the Yunagi dungeon is the 4th dungeon he's broken through. He thinks about how he'll break up his SP, but suddenly, he receives a message on his phone. The following day, the dungeon teleporter meets with Yui in the mall. The two then head to a cafe, where Rin asks Yui what she wants to talk about and assumes it's related to dungeons. So, the girl reveals she was scouted by a certain guild the other day. Each adventurer's guild can have dozens to hundreds of adventurers. From high-ranking guilds, amounts of influence or privileges can be gained. For that reason, guilds keep an eye on the adventurer's office, scouting people who have exceptional talent. As Rin asks what Yui's level is now, she shares that she just passed level 100 the other day. Rin is surprised that she was still scouted despite that, saying that's great and making the lady smile. When it comes to guilds seeking immediate force, it's not medium or small sizes. Rin thinks it's probably a large guild with a lot of financial power seeking to raise low-level adventurers. Rin wants to know the name of the guild, so Yui says it's called Yoizuki, and even gives the guy the business card she received. Remembering the card, Rin is pretty sure it's where he's been in the last few years, telling Yui it's one of the top guilds in the country. According to Yui, it was recommended because the guild is still growing. Healers like Yui seem to be in high demand everywhere. Also, since potions are expensive, guilds just resort to hiring healers. In other words, this meeting between Rin and Yui is a consultation about whether to join or not. At that moment, Rin clarifies that he doesn't know much, but joining a guild has its own merits and demerits. The most important merit is support in every aspect, providing equipment to some extent, and giving information on how to challenge dungeons. When it comes to team members, guilds choose them based on ability and compatibility. This means there's no more risk of partying with untrustworthy people. Then, limited freedom is one of the demerits of joining a guild. Rin wants Yui to understand that guilds have obligations instead of being privileged. When problems occur in dungeons, the association can order the guilds to respond. Of course, the guilds must comply unless there are special circumstances. It's the reason why the guild members sometimes have to go to dangerous places themselves. For Rin, Yui should join a guild as soon as possible if she wants to get stronger. But if she wants to cherish some other things, then she shouldn't join. Because of this topic, Rin becomes interested as to why Yui became an adventurer in the first place. The truth is that Yui originally didn't intend to work as an adventurer. She was scared to fight monsters, and she wasn't comfortable with the sensation of holding a weapon. She got her qualifications and entered a dungeon only because her friend invited her. She knew that if she could get the status, she would be stronger. Certainly, Yui wants to be strong enough not to die in a traffic accident. However, there are many people who aim to get that status. Or rather, it's almost that easy. There are only a handful of people in the book who risk their lives to fulfill their jobs as adventurers. But when Yui got her status and found herself as a talented healer, she thought she could just support the others from the rear. In the end, she continued to work as an adventurer, and it dawned on her that it was actually rewarding. It may be a coincidence that Yui was given that talent, yet it's where she finds her own significance. What she wants the most now is to improve her power, which helps her save other people. Rin believes that the healer has already decided on what to do, and Yui confirms it, saying she's going to be brave and join a guild. Anyway, if it's too hard for her, she can just pull out. Her life is the most important thing, and she must be careful not to be exploited. Since she's a student, Yui can only work on holidays. As for the money problem, it seems she's got more than the usual healer's rate. Rin wonders if the lady can earn more than 10 million in 3 days like him, but he doesn't mention it because he doesn't want to brag. The two of them then prepare to leave, and when Yui tries to pay for what they ate, Rin stops her because it will be a while until she can make any money. Thanks to that, Yui starts blushing and wondering how he can be so caring, kind, and dependable. Without thinking much about it, she asks the guy why he doesn't have a girlfriend, which makes him uncomfortable. Rin doesn't know if Yui is mocking him, and he has no idea how she found that out. As it turns out, Hana told Yui about it, so Rin swears he's going to scold his sister the moment he gets home. After leaving the cafe, Rin spots Rei from afar, while Yui calls out her name. As they get closer to Rei, who's listening to music, the lady starts talking to Rin, much to Yui's confusion. She demands to know why Rei responded to Rin when she's the one who called her. But sad to say, the girl doesn't even know who she is. Hurt, Yui reminds her they're in the same class and introduces herself. As Rei tries to remember Yui, Rin realizes that she never talked about school when they were in the dungeon. Yui then asks Rin how he knew Rei, to which the guy replies that she's also an adventurer and that they met in a dungeon days ago. When Rei continues checking some CDs and finds the anime song she likes, it becomes clear to Rin that she's a comrade. It's why she didn't want to talk about her hobby back in the dungeon. Meanwhile, Yui is glad to be able to talk to Rei for the first time. She's hesitant to approach Rei in school because she's always wearing headphones during breaks, asking her the title of a particular anime and saying she likes its song. Unknown to Yui, she's also making Rin feel awkward. A few minutes later, the healer finally stops talking and checks the CDs on display. On the other hand, Rin asks Rei if she has plans to go dungeoneering that day, but the girl says she's meeting with Kazami and the others to go to the Kenzaki dungeon. After that, Rei stares at Rin and asks if he's going to the dungeon. Nervous, the dungeon teleporter almost reveals he got another breakthrough yesterday, before correcting himself and sharing he had another dungeon capture. Today is a rest day for him. Phew, that was close. Rin almost revealed his secret, but thankfully, Rei doesn't find him suspicious. Still, Rei isn't done questioning him. Since he's with a girl on his day off, she wants to know if he and Yui are in a relationship. Immediately, Rin clarifies that he only met with Yui because there was something she wanted to consult with him about. "You like younger partners, don't you, Rin?" Rei asks the dungeon teleporter, and this time, he struggles to answer. Seriously, what kind of thinking process led to that question? Rin has a feeling that he'll be judged no matter what he says, so he just decides to be manly and honest. If he's going to choose between the words like and dislike, then he'll choose the former. Sure enough, Rei becomes disappointed with his answer. But hey, he doesn't regret it. All of a sudden, an earthquake hits the town. Then, an announcement is made that an emergency has occurred. A dungeon collapse is happening in the Kenzaki dungeon, which is why all citizens are urged to evacuate immediately. Cooperation is also being requested from adventurers of C rank or higher. A dungeon collapse is a phenomenon that occurs very rarely when a dungeon disappears. When there's a dungeon collapse, monsters can pass through the gates that adventurers use. In short, right now, the town is overflowing with monsters. At this point, Rin informs Rei that he plans to subjugate the monsters that are coming out. He asks the lady what she intends to do, and she replies that she'll go as well. Surprisingly, Yui wants to come with them. Rin is worried for Yui, but she explains that she won't fight. She only wants to provide healing magic for the wounded. Well, Rin is aware that regular people who don't have status can't use potions, but healing magic should be effective. That said, he allows Yui to come with them and immediately leaves. On their way to the dungeon, the healer suggests they prepare their equipment now while they have the chance. But Rin and Rei easily change their clothes and arm themselves with the help of their item box. And because of that, Yui can't help but envy them. To comfort Yui, Rin promises that he won't let her fight. Rei then receives a call from Kazami, who wants to take care of the situation as a party. He instructs Rei to meet with him and the rest of their team, and the lady can only apologize to Rin as she tells him she needs to go. The dungeon teleporter has no problem with it, saying he understands and asking Rei not to push herself. Rei wants him and Yui to be careful as well, but as she turns to leave, Rin notices her uneasiness. Was that just his imagination? Moments later, Rin and Yui find some adventurers in the street who are surrounded by orcs. Rin quickly jumps into action and kills the monsters, leaving the adventurers stunned. The dungeon teleporter moved so fast that the guys didn't see everything that happened. While Rin talks to one of the adventurers, Yui easily heals the other. Rin notes how amazing the recovery speed is, even though Yui is still low-leveled, which makes him wonder if the lady could be incredibly talented. After saving the adventurers, Yui asks Rin if they'll still be heading to the Kenzaki dungeon. That's what he plans to do, but he's having second thoughts because the monsters have already come out that far. Even if they go to the Kenzaki dungeon, it doesn't mean that they can help. What's troublesome during a dungeon collapse is the monsters are stronger than usual. People say that the magical power that's used to maintain the dungeon has nowhere to go, so it ends up being absorbed by the monsters. Regular monsters become 1.5 to 2 times stronger, but for dungeon bosses, there are reports of their strength shooting close to 10 times their usual stats. This condition is called the last boss. The dungeon will disappear upon subjugating it, and that's the only time the dungeon collapse will end. However, as time grows, so does the last boss's strength, and if the dungeon collapses completely before the subjugation, the last boss will be able to get outside. Although that means that it should be subjugated right away, the danger level is increased by 1 rank due to the strength increase. Since the Kenzaki dungeon is C rank, then a B rank subjugation party with an average level of 5000 plus will be necessary. It pains Rin to say this, but he's not at that level just yet. There's another thing that makes Rin anxious. He accidentally told Rei how he captured the dungeon yesterday. Since the cooldown for challenging dungeons is still effective even during the collapse, it will be revealed that he can ignore it if he shows up for the last boss subjugation. Now, his only option is to take care of the monsters that came out of the Kenzaki dungeon, while Yui helps him by providing healing magic to those who need it. With what's happening to their town, he will certainly need to join forces with other adventurers. Then, once they subjugate the last boss, he can go back to clearing dungeons again. Meanwhile, Kazami and his party make their way to the lowest floor of the Kenzaki dungeon, defeating all the monsters near the boss room. They arrive quickly, knowing that B-rank parties from nearby guilds are expected to arrive in half an hour, creating a commotion outside the dungeon. Kazami, leveraging his fame, tries to enter, but the administrator attempts to stop them, claiming their levels are too low. They promise to only clear mobs, gaining entry into the dungeon. Rei, curious as to why Kazami is ignoring most of the mobs, realizes they're waiting for the B-rank party's support. Kazami, however, dismisses the monsters along the way as insignificant and proposes they go straight into the boss room to defeat the final boss. This surprises Rei. She thought they were waiting for reinforcements, but Kazami believes the monsters they've encountered so far are so weak they can handle the boss on their own. He suggests this is the perfect opportunity to gain prestige and showcase their abilities. Rei is shocked, believing the dungeon's stability should be their top priority, but Kazami seems more interested in fame. Despite her concerns, the rest of the party agrees with him. Rei questions their intentions, reminding them this wasn't what they promised the administrators. Kazami reassures her, saying that defeating the boss will resolve any issues. He asks her to stand by while they take care of it. Rei finally understands that for them, preventing the dungeon collapse is secondary. They enter the boss room knowing no reinforcements are coming and that the door will only open if they either die or defeat the boss. Once inside, Kazami is startled by the power of the final boss, a high orc with a level of 3000. Everyone is frightened, but Kazami rallies the group and they decide to fight the high orc. 10 minutes later, Rei is terrified by how overpowering the boss is, but Kazami and the others continue to believe they can win. Kazami instructs Yuya to seal the high orc and prepares to launch a final attack. Just as the orc roars, Kazami feels a sense of relief, assuming it's the orc's last struggle. But then, many unnamed knight soldiers emerge from the ground, each with a level of 2000. Kazami and his team have never encountered these knights before. Hastily, Kazami uses his lightning skill, but it has no effect. As he prepares to ask Yuya and Kusuke to immobilize them, the knights move in, targeting them. Kazami and the others quickly realize the knights are intelligent enemies. Panicking, Kazami tries his lightning skill again. This time, he manages to defeat one knight with Rei's help, but more continue to attack. They manage to defeat all the knights, but by then, the High Orc has broken free from Yuya's seal and evolved. The dungeon collapse has partially strengthened it, and the knights were merely stalling for time. Kazami asks Sekira about the Orc's new level. Sekira reveals that the High Orc has evolved into an Orc General with a level of 4000, a death sentence for them all. Kazami continues attacking with his lightning skill, but it has no effect. Rei, disheartened by her party's weakness, reflects on how even the strongest monsters she's fought were never this overpowering. This Orc General is unlike anything they've faced before. When their eyes meet, the Orc moves to strike Kazami. Rei, acting on instinct, pushes Kazami out of the way. The Orc's attack hits her instead, sending her flying into the door. Blood spills from her mouth as she becomes unable to move, her HP dropping to 10%. Rei scans the room for her teammates, only to see Kazami using his lightning skill again. The Orc's attack crashes into the ground, filling the room with smoke. When it clears, she sees everyone knocked out, but still breathing. It's only a matter of time before they all die. The Orc General turns away from her, leaving an unnamed knight to finish her off. Though they defeated most of the knights, this one remains. Rey tries to move, but her body refuses to respond. She thinks this is the end. She looks at the door, but it's still closed. No help is coming. Miracles only happen in stories, she thinks. Rey wonders where things went wrong. Was it when she joined Kazami's party, or when she failed to stop them from rushing in? The knight swings its sword to kill her. Rey closes her eyes, thinking that once they die, the door will open and the B-rank adventurers will defeat the Orc General. At least their sacrifice won't be in vain. But as she braces for the end, she hears the clash of metal. It doesn't hurt. She opens her eyes and sees the knight's head rolling on the floor. The knight is dead. Rin stands before her, apologizing for being late. He informs the other adventurers that the monsters above ground have been dealt with. He questions Yui's ability to handle the situation, but she confidently replies that she's fine. After all, she's an adventurer. Rin is impressed by her response, considering she's been treating 20 people for hours, relying on MP recovery potions. Outside, there's a commotion. Rin notices a B-rank party and suspects they're here for the last boss. He asks if something happened, as their expressions seem odd. They inform him that Kazami's party entered the boss room, and that despite the time that's passed, the door hasn't opened. Alarmed, Rin asks about Rey, as her level is far below the others. They tell him all 5 entered the dungeon, and Rin realizes Kazami deceived Rey. Suddenly, the dungeon trembles. The collapse is reaching its final phase. The boss will soon emerge, and there's no time left. An adventurer mentions that the boss keeps growing stronger as the collapse progresses. Shocked, Rin decides to enter the dungeon. Using his teleportation skill would raise suspicion, so he pretends to enter through the gate, then teleports between floors. Rin hopes it's all a misunderstanding, but fears the worst. When he reaches the boss room, Rin sees the unnamed knight about to kill Rey, while the others lie unconscious. He swiftly beheads the knight and pulls out a greater healing potion, urging Rey to drink it slowly. Rey, confused, asks why Rin is here, but Rin brushes it off, saying they'll talk later. He hands her more potions and asks her to distribute them to the others when she can move. Rin examines the Orc General, now at level 4000. It's so strong, Rin feels like running away, but he steels himself. Drawing his sword, he faces the Orc, declaring that he'll show it how a lower ranker fights. He leaps into battle, striking repeatedly, but his attacks do little damage. One hit from the Orc could kill him instantly, yet Rin's own strikes barely make a dent. Exhaustion starts to set in as he dodges blow after blow, but Rin has no choice. He must keep fighting. Rin decides to use a hit-and-run strategy because this is how the weak fight. Rey watches in amazement. Now able to move, she heals the others and pulls them aside. To her, Rin seems like a savior, and her heart races, but she quickly wonders how Rin got inside the boss room. As she observes Rin fighting the Orc General, she remembers a former member of the King of Unique, whom Kazami once mentioned, Amane Rin, the most incompetent in their lineup. She recalls that Rin possesses the unique skill, dungeon teleportation. If Rin can teleport freely within the dungeon, he didn't need to enter the boss room normally, she thinks. But then questions how Rin has grown so fast. Her mind flashes back to when Rin said he conquered another dungeon. If her suspicions are right, Rin has more potential than anyone in the world. She wonders if that could really be true. The only way to confirm it, she whispers to herself, is to survive this boss fight. She makes a praying gesture, hoping for Rin's victory. Meanwhile, Rin continues to fight the Orc General. He reminds himself that in battle, emotions only weigh you down. From countless encounters, he's learned that pride, care, and fear must be cast aside. The weak must bet everything to win. With determination and focus, even a lower-ranked adventurer like him can take down powerful monsters. The Orc General slams the ground, sending chunks of stone flying. Rin uses this chaos to activate his enemy search skill, a technique that detects mana in a radius, helping him navigate the debris which is infused with magic. Moving forward, he notices the Orc General discarding his weapon, now opting to fight with his bare hands for speed. Rey thinks Rin won't dodge in time, but Rin has seen this tactic before. He uses it as a chance to activate his super speed skill, dodging the attack with precision and launching his counterattack. With super speed and strength active, Rin's MP depletes quickly, but he doesn't care. This is his final push. He launches a flurry of attacks at the Orc General. The Orc roars in fury, making a sudden movement and disappearing from sight. Rey watches, her heart pounding. Rin reappears behind the Orc General, slashing his sword through the beast. As Rin declares, "It's over," Rey can't hold back her tears. The dungeon boss falls, and Rin's level skyrockets by 233. He also receives a reward for defeating the boss, gaining an additional 150 levels and earning the title Bringer of the End. Rey softly calls Rin's name, thanking him with heartfelt gratitude. Rin, relieved, says he's glad everyone is safe. He puts away his unnamed sword into his item box, then suggests Kazami should reflect on his reckless actions. Despite everything, Rin is relieved Kazami survived. Rei admits her own fault for failing to stop him. Rin pats her head, attempting to comfort her, which she quietly enjoys. They take a moment to celebrate their survival. Rei then asks how Rin managed to enter the dungeon room given the door was sealed. Rei asks if it is a dungeon teleportation skill. Surprise? Rin admits it and shrugs off the discovery, seeing it as a small price for saving everyone. Rei asks if he transported them through the cooldown. Rin denies it, though Rei remains skeptical. She reassures him she won't share his secret, knowing it would draw too much attention to him. Rin thanks her, deciding to trust her. Rei also points out the challenge of explaining how they defeated the last boss. When the boss dies, the dungeon collapses and teleports everyone to the surface, allowing Rin to avoid suspicion about his presence in the boss room. Rei proposes a story. They'll claim Kazami unleashed a powerful lightning strike before collapsing, followed by an explosion that killed the orc general. Rin agrees to the plan. Rin wonders if Kazami and the others will be recognized for their efforts. Kazami might be pleased with the recognition, but Rin feels indifferent. Rei reflects on the terrifying difference between dungeons and resolves to take responsibility in the future, ensuring no one rushes in recklessly again. Rin scans the boss room, intending to collect loot. He asks about the unnamed knight's corpses, hoping to acquire another sword. But Rei informs him they vanished while Rin fought the orc general. Rin decides to at least claim the orc general's magic stone. Its size and purity surpass anything he's seen before, and he estimates it's worth millions of yen. Finally, the teleportation magic activates. Rei asks how Rin will explain his presence in the dungeon. Rin, caught off guard, jokes that he forgot and brushes it off with a laugh. As they are transported back to the surface, they believe the case is closed. However, once they return, both Rin and Rei are reprimanded by the dungeon manager and Yoisuke guild members for challenging the boss without backup and entering a collapsing dungeon. Rei explains the subjugation, convincing them to let it slide for now. They inform Rin that he will be summoned later for further questioning, but for the time being, they are dismissed. On their way out, Yui blushes and teases Rin for his sudden entry into the dungeon. She implies that Rin was so desperate he forgot about the boss room's restrictions. Rin, playing along, feigns embarrassment. Rei grabs Rin's shirt and insists it isn't embarrassing at all. She admits she was thrilled when Rin came to her rescue, her face slightly blushing. Rin covers his mouth and urges her to stop talking about it, claiming it's a secret. Yui, watching their interaction, feels a pang of jealousy. She accuses them of getting too close and grabs Rin's arm. Rei also grabs his other arm, leaving Rin clueless about what's happening. Rei, realizing the situation, declares she won't lose. The three continue walking, with Rei and Yui each holding onto Rin's arms. Back at home, Rin checks his stats board and sees his level has risen to 3,156. He looks at his new title and comments on its disturbing name, Bringer of the... It's a title given to someone who solos the last boss, but there's a typo in it. Rin decides not to worry about it too much, as he's unsure if he'll ever fight another last boss. More interested in dungeon conquering, Rin wonders what changes will occur if he levels up his dungeon teleportation skill to level 20. He asserts that if he continues growing stronger, he's certain he'll become the world's strongest, once again vowing to be the fastest and most powerful. Meanwhile, an hour after the Kanzaki dungeon collapse, the Yoitsuki guildmaster is slacking off in his office. Someone knocks, and he allows them to enter. Player walks in, urging him to stop slacking and reminding him he needs to set an example for his subordinates. She reports that she arrived late at the scene due to monsters leaking outside, but thankfully another adventurer managed to defeat the last boss before her arrival. The guildmaster admits he's relieved everything worked out, saying he was sweating cold when he heard a party rushed in. Player also reports that the King of Unique, who challenged the final boss alone, got harshly scolded. The guildmaster recalls hearing this name a year ago and expresses surprise, especially since the dungeon was in its final collapse. He didn't think the King of Unique had the strength to defeat the last boss at that stage. Player confirms it was a close call and that the entire party, except one, was knocked out. The guildmaster guesses that the last person standing was Amane Rin, but then recalls Rin had already left. He then wonders if it was Kazami, but Player reveals it was a newly joined member, Kurosaki Rei. Player mentions that besides their guildmates and the King of Unique, there was another person who returned from the dungeon, Amane Rin. The guildmaster asks if Rin participated in the fight, but Player explains that Rin rushed into the dungeon after the battle had already begun. Their guild members confirmed that the boss room had never opened, making it impossible for him to have been inside. Player inquires if the guildmaster knows Rin, and he explains that a year ago he invited Rin to join another guild, but Rin refused immediately. The guildmaster speculates that Rin probably thought he was lying because he didn't have his guild card on him at the time. Player asks if Rin was talented enough to receive a direct invitation. The guildmaster admits that Rin was considered extremely weak and incompetent by others, but his unique skill had potential, and Rin's eyes told a different story. Rin's behavior was normal, but his eyes showed unwavering determination. He's the type who will keep pushing forward until he achieves his goal. The guildmaster remarks that Rin is just like Player in that regard. After their conversation, he dismisses Player, who leaves the room, gently closing the door. Left alone, Claire gazes out the window, muttering to herself, "The same as mine, huh?" Meanwhile, Hana is dreaming about her family, a joyful and precious memory. Everything feels perfect, but it's cruelly taken away as she wakes up. She can't quite remember the details of her dream, but the nostalgia lingers. Glancing at the time, Hana dashes into the kitchen, where Rin is already preparing breakfast. Hana tells Rin that if he woke up first, he should have woken her too. Rin, ever considerate, replies that it's rare to see her oversleep, so he let her be. Rin then makes toast and asks if she wants some, calling it his Manga Cafe special. As Hana eats, Rin starts fixing her hair, joking about whether she prefers a new hairstyle or a dungeon raid. They both watch the news, which reports on recent dungeon activity. The prefecture is seeking high-ranking adventurers to tackle a new dungeon, and there's a report of a tamer with a unique monster-using skill who died under suspicious circumstances in a B-rank dungeon. The news also highlights the birth of a new S-rank adventurer, noting that there are only a few in the world. In addition, the registration age for adventurers has been lowered to 16. After finishing Hana's hair, Rin asks if she's pleased with the news, and Hana thanks him before rushing out the door, already late. 3 days after the Kanzaki dungeon collapse, a new day begins. Rin completes 150 laps in the E-rank Arakawa dungeon. He reaches the lowest floor and defeats the boss. A voice in his mind informs him that he's cleared the dungeon a specified number of times and has received a bonus reward of a 5-level increase. Rin, now at his 5th dungeon, won't receive any more rewards from it in the future. He wonders how to spend his 7010 SP. After some thought, Rin decides to raise his dungeon teleportation skill by 3 levels, bringing it to level 15. The teleportation distance now extends to 200 meters, and the MP cost is reduced to 2 MP power per teleport. Rin compares it to having his own private Uber for dungeons. He considers whether the skill's growth is meeting his expectations, but resolves to be patient, anticipating greater improvements once the skill reaches level 20. Only 5 levels remain, and Rin feels the anticipation of leveling up. Determined to do his best tomorrow, he heads home, but soon realizes he can't level up further because he has completed every dungeon he entered. With no more dungeons left to tackle, Rin decides to take a break. Even heroes need their beauty sleep. Rin's level has reached 3457, and he's acquired numerous skills along the way. 3 days into his break, growing bored of his downtime, Rin receives an unexpected call from Ray. They meet up at a cafe for some dungeon talk over coffee. Nothing beats a good dungeon debrief with a cup of joe. Ray apologizes for calling him out of the asks if he's busy. Rin assures her it's fine, as he's been wanting to know what happened to Kazami and the others. Plus, he admits he's been wanting to see her. Smooth move, Rin. Ray's expression stays neutral, but her face flushes red. Rin notices and asks if she's caught a cold, or maybe his charm is just too much to handle. Ray then delivers some shocking news. The King of Unique party has disbanded. Rin is taken aback. Ray explains that Kazami talked to her yesterday, apologizing for putting the party in danger and admitting he didn't have the qualifications to be the leader, so he decided to disband the group. Kazami has more guilt than a cat caught on the kitchen counter. Rin is surprised to hear this, as he thought Kazami would be riding high after their recent victory. Kazami's unique skills had kept him far from harm for a while, allowing him to coast through dungeons. However, the recent incident in the dungeon made him realize just how dangerous they could be. It was Kazami's welcome to the jungle moment. Ray goes on to explain that Kazami doubted whether he was really the one who defeated the last boss, believing that it might have been pure chance. Although he accepted the victory in the end, it left a lasting impact on him. Rin, pondering this, wonders how many people would continue to push forward after seeing the true danger of dungeons. It's a sobering thought. Turning the conversation back to Ray, Rin asks if she has become a solo adventurer and what her future plans are. Ray shares that she plans to continue her journey as an adventurer and has set a new goal for herself, though she keeps the details of that goal a secret. Ray's got more secrets than a treasure chest. Rin mentions that he would have invited her to join his party, but he knows that due to the limitations of his dungeon teleportation skill, which doesn't allow him to transport others, having her join would only be a hindrance. Rin's keeping his priorities straight. Suddenly, Ray pulls out an envelope from her purse, piquing Rin's curiosity. He asks about its contents, and Ray reveals that it's 4 million yen. Rin is taken aback and asks why she's giving him such a large sum. Ray explains that the potions Rin provided during the dungeon collapse were high-level healing potions, each worth 1 million yen. She's simply repaying her debt. Rei's got more integrity than a knight in shining armor. She also informs Rin that she's already told Kazami and the others about the potions, and they've agreed to help repay the cost. While she's only brought half the money now, she promises to deliver the rest as soon as possible. Rin, impressed by her determination, accepts the money. As they leave the cafe, Rei grabs Rin's arm and asks if he'd consider going on an adventure with her sometime. Rin says, "Sure, that sounds good." They then say goodbye and walk off, heading in a different direction. Rin expresses hope that they'll meet again in the future when their paths cross once more. He's got more optimism than the protagonist in a shonen manga. Soon after, Rin finds himself in the Devil Dungeon, a C-rank challenge facing a rainbow wolf, a level 3000 monster. The creature's fur shines with 9 colors and it moves with blinding speed, attacking with a variety of powerful magic spells. After the cooldown from his previous dungeon runs, Rin spends 3 days entering 10 different dungeons. This allows him to revisit any of them at will using his dungeon teleportation skill. He decides to tackle the Devil Dungeon next, collecting the 9 rare magic stones needed to face the dungeon boss. After a grueling battle, Rin defeats the dungeon boss and is rewarded with the Ring of Wolf. This potent piece of equipment reduces magic damage from flame, wind, water, soil, and light by 15%. It also decreases the likelihood of being affected by poison, paralysis, and sleep by 15%. His leveling is going smoothly, and he continues to power up his skills, including super strength, super speed, and dungeon teleportation. Feeling pumped, he prepares for the next day. However, the following day, Hana asks Rin if he's free over the weekend. Rin confirms that he'll have some time, and Hana please tells him to wear clothes that are easy to move in. Rin assumes she's planning a shopping trip, figuring he'll end up carrying her bags again, just like last time. He thinks it might be a nice change of pace. When the weekend arrives, however, Rin is surprised when Hana takes him to the E-rank Sumafuku dungeon instead of a shopping mall. Startled, Rin loudly asks why they're at a dungeon. Hana, confused by his outburst, asks why he's shouting. Rin clarifies that he thought they were going shopping. Hana responds that she thought she had explained everything. Turns out, this weekend's not about shopping, it's a dungeon crawl. In Japan, only those 18 years or older are usually allowed to challenge dungeons. However, due to the influence of skilled inspectors and adventurers, the legal age has been lowered in recent years. Last year, the age requirement dropped to 17, and this year, to align with global standards, it was reduced to 16. Hana, now over 16, meets the age requirement. After graduating from high school, it's now possible to take courses sponsored by the association to earn an adventurer license. Unlike when Rin trained individually, today's students can take adventurer courses through their high schools. This is why Hana has decided to participate. Education is the key, even in the world of dungeons. Rin asks Hana why she suddenly wants to go to the dungeon. Hana explains that those who participate through their school have already taken a simple course and received provisional qualification. She says she went to the dungeon with help from someone in the dungeon association. Rin tells Hana that she'll cause trouble if she doesn't inform him first, especially because of the cooldown. Confused, Hana asks what a cooldown is, which makes Rin wonder if she really took the course. Without waiting for an answer, Hana grabs Rin by the hand and starts running, eagerly asking him to participate. When they arrive, there are crowds of people gathering because recruits are coming from several different schools. Katajiri, from the Dungeon Association, steps forward and announces that everyone should check their name if they're participating in the practice. He adds that anyone accompanying participants should show their status, even if it's just their name and level. Rin is immediately shocked by this. Kazami and his friends, despite having over a year of experience, are only level 2000, and Rin fears his dungeon teleportation secret will be revealed if people find out his level is over 5000. Rin wonders how to avoid suspicion and quickly tells Hana to wait while he adjusts his status screen. Rin's got more secrets than a hidden treasure chest in a dungeon. As Rin explores his new abilities, he discovers a list of fresh skills, including Conceal Level 1. This advanced skill allows players to rewrite their status information. However, it comes with risks. If someone uses it to infiltrate lower ranked parties or steal items, they're committing a crime. Misusing this skill to parasitize higher ranked parties is particularly dangerous. Rin knows acquiring this forbidden skill is generally frowned upon. Still, he doesn't intend to cause any harm. He just needs to hide his high level to avoid unwanted attention. Rin rewrites his status board, masking his real power. Hana, growing impatient, asks if he's done yet. Rin nods and they approach Katajiri. Rin introduces himself as Hana's brother, claiming he came to accompany her today. Katajiri nods and requests to check Rin's status. Rin reveals his altered status, showing he's level 1034. Katajiri is impressed and reassures them that they won't have any trouble in an E-rank dungeon with Rin at that level. He adds that even if something were to happen, there's no need to worry because he himself is level 7000. Katajiri also mentions that the Dungeon Association has brought in several high-level adventurers, including a C-rank adventurer named Yanagi. He introduces Yanagi to Rin and Hana. Rin shakes Yanagi's hand, asking if there's any problem, but Yanagi assures him everything is fine and leaves. Katajiri then instructs everyone to change into their equipment. Hana changes into the battle gear provided by the association. Hana tells Rin that in the preparatory course, the association prepared specific equipment suited to each individual. Rin feels a slight pang of jealousy, noting that no one helped him like this when he started. Once everyone is ready, they enter the dungeon. Rin recognizes it as one of the dungeons he grinded through just the other day. He pretends to enter normally, but secretly uses his dungeon teleportation skill to get ahead. They move to an open space where the challenge to get a status board begins. Defeating a monster for the first time gives players a 10% chance to receive a status board, and this opportunity could change someone's entire. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation. Noticing Hana's nervousness, Rin tells her not to worry, reminding her that whether she gets a status board or not is pure luck. Hana blushes, laughing, and playfully says that if Rin wants to encourage her, he should do it properly till the end. Rin asks her why she wants to become an adventurer, but she's so focused that she doesn't hear him. Katajiri announces that groups of 3 will be assigned to staff members to find monsters, while the rest will remain on standby. However, those who have a D rank or higher companion are allowed to act with them. Players who receive a status board should report back to Katajiri immediately. Rin asks Hana which option she's choosing, and she says she doesn't like being watched by others, so she decides to go with Rin. As they explore the dungeon, they encounter a slime, a level 1 monster with a fluid, transparent body. Rin instructs Hana to destroy the red sphere inside the slime to defeat it. Following his instructions, Hana pierces the slime's core with her dagger, and, to her surprise, a status board appears. Overwhelmed with happiness, she beams. Rin tells her that her future as an adventurer will now be shaped by the skills she acquires from the status board. Hana eagerly opens her status to see what she's gained, her eyes widening in amazement. Rin, curious, takes a look at Hana's status and is equally shocked. She has body reinforcement level 3, magic manipulation level 3, magic increase level 5, and most surprising of all, a unique skill. Skill Imitation level 1. Rin has never seen this ability before. Hana, the skillful prodigy. Rin knows unique skills can be game-changing, so he checks its description immediately. Skill imitation allows Hana to copy the skills of others, and as she levels up, both the number and duration of copied skills increase. What's more, there's no limit to the skill level she can imitate, meaning she can use advanced abilities while still at a low level. Unlike others who must reach level 100 or higher to unlock powerful skills, Hana can access them far earlier. This makes her an incredibly versatile adventurer, able to adapt to any party by borrowing skills from other members, whether becoming a swordsman, tank, or wizard depending on the situation. Hana might even be able to copy Rin's dungeon teleportation skill in the future, enabling them to level up together. Though they can't do that now due to level restrictions, it's clear that it could be possible eventually. Hana, puzzled by Rin's reaction, asks if her new skill is good or bad. Instead of going into detail, Rin keeps it simple. If Hana reveals her skill, every guild in Japan will be eager to recruit her. Hana, surprised by how powerful her skill is, expresses concern about the trouble it might bring. Rin then asks why she chose to become an adventurer in the first place. Hana blushes and teases him, accusing him of trying to uncover a girl's secret. Rin suggests that if she wants to keep her skill hidden, she shouldn't tell Jerry-san, or the secret might spread. Hana worries, knowing that showing her status board when they leave the dungeon will reveal her unique skill. Rin suddenly gets an idea. He suggests that she use her skill imitation to copy his concealment skill. By touching Rin's shoulder, Hana instantly acquires the concealment skill and quickly learns to use it, hiding her unique skill. She then copies a few other skills, setting them all to level 1 to avoid drawing attention. With that sorted, they are ready to rejoin the others. Rin advises Hana to keep the concealment skill a secret, since it's not one he actually possesses. When she asks why he has such a skill, he brushes it off, saying they'll talk about it later. As they prepare to leave, Rin senses a menacing presence deep within the dungeon. They quickly exit. Outside, the adventurers who have completed their tasks celebrate their achievements. Hana shows her status board to the instructor, who congratulates her on gaining new skills and returning safely. Jerry announces that those who obtain their status will need to participate in a dungeon class in 2 weeks. Until then, they have provisional qualifications and can only enter dungeons with someone who has at least 1 year of adventuring experience. Jerry also warns against going into the dungeon alone. After Jerry leaves, Rin praises Hana for her hard work and congratulates her on her new status. Excited, Hana asks for a reward. Rin offers to take her to the city center for dinner, assuring her he'll cover the cost. He mentions he's been making a lot of money lately and can afford to buy whatever Hana wants. He even offers to join her for a dungeon run before her next practice. Hana eagerly accepts and plans to visit the dungeon the next day. As they walk through the city, an unseen presence watches them from afar, tracking their every move. The next day, Rin explores the Menjeshi dungeon in the morning, raising his level by 4 points. He completes 100 laps, levels up 420 times, and clears 7 dungeons. Checking the time, he realizes it's time to meet Hana and heads back. Upon arriving at the entrance of the Arangshian dungeon, Rin sees that Hana has brought 2 other girls with her, Yui and Rei. He asks why they are there. Yui, excited, says she's thrilled to join the dungeon expedition, while Rei, in her usual calm manner, says she decided to come on a whim. Hana reminds Rin they're short on time, but Rin asks Yui and Rei again about their purpose for being there. Instead of waiting for them to answer, Hana clears up the confusion, explaining that she invited Yui because Yui always asked about Rin when they talked. Embarrassed, Yui scolds Hana for revealing her secret crush and tells Rin not to believe her words. To avoid making things more awkward, Rin turns to Rei and asks why she's here. In her usual tone, Rei says she heard from Yui and decided to join because Rin would be there. This makes Rin blush, thinking he might finally be popular with these cute girls. Rei hands him an envelope, explaining it's the money she promised to return. She came specifically to give it back. Both Yui and Hana react dramatically, saying it's terrible for a guy to take money from a girl. Embarrassed, Rin tries to explain Rei to back him up. Rei, smiling, says Rin is important to her and that it's thanks to him she's there now. So giving him the money is something she wants to do. Unintentionally, she makes the situation worse by not explaining the real reason behind the money. Finally, Rei clears everything up and the misunderstanding is resolved. Rin playfully scolds Yui for not believing him earlier, and the matter is finally settled. Rei apologizes for not choosing the right moment to return the money. Rin tells her not to worry and asks how she managed to earn such a large sum in a short time. Rei explains that she spent the past week hunting high-reward monsters and used that time to reflect on herself. Feeling a bit jealous, Yui remarks that Rei and Rin seem very close and jokingly suggests they might be secretly dating. The conversation gets even funnier when Yui blushes at Rin's comment about being friends with all of them, as it's clear Rin is more than just a friend to her. Rin, slightly embarrassed, drops the topic before things escalate. He then whispers to Hana about her imitation skill, but Hana reassures him that she trusts Yui and Rei enough to let them know about her unique skill. Rin, surprised by her trust, realizes he hasn't fully explained the dangers of revealing her skill. He knows that without proper support, Hana could be targeted if word gets out. Lost in thought, Rin is snapped back to reality by Hana calling his name. He tells her they should start by discussing her skill imitation, but first, he wants to explain it to Yui and Rei. Rei, impressed by the details, praises Hana's skill and notes that it's to be expected from Rin's younger sister. Enthusiastic as ever, Yui excitedly says that unique skills are amazing, and it's surprising that both Rin and Hana have them. In her excitement, Yui accidentally reveals that Rin also has a unique skill, surprising both Rei and Hana. Yui, realizing her slip-up, is left dumbfounded, unsure how to cover for herself. Curious, Hana asks Rei if she also has a unique skill. Rei confirms that she does and steps forward to demonstrate her magic. A dazzling light envelops her from all sides, signaling that something spectacular is about to happen. She pronounces the word quatre, and instantly, 4 swords materialize out of thin air, floating elegantly before them. She explains that she can create as many swords as she wishes with ease. The display captivates all 3 of them, leaving them impressed by Rei's grace and skill. Rei then asks Rin what he plans to do next. Rin replies that he wants to test skill imitation. Rei suggests trying an offensive skill for a quick performance check. However, Rin knows that Hana can only copy level 1 skills at this point, and the only level 1 skill he has is concealment. Fortunately, with Yui and Rei there, Rin mentally thanks Hana for unintentionally creating the perfect opportunity. He asks Yui and Rei if Hana can copy their level 1 skills. Both girls exchange a knowing look, then smile and close their eyes in agreement, as if silently coordinating their response. Yui says she doesn't have any attack skills, while Rei mentions that all her skills are level 2 or higher. Rin's request for their help is quickly dismissed. As Rin wonders what to do next, Yui offers an idea. She opens her status board and acquires a level 1 elementary magic skill. Although Rin suggests she doesn't need to force herself to acquire skills just to help his little sister, Yui explains that her senior guild members always advise having at least 1 attack skill for self-defense. It also works to her advantage, and besides, she has just passed level 150 the other day. Rin is impressed by how quickly Yui has progressed, especially considering she is only level 80. Yui excitedly talks about her guild, Night Moon, and how they have taught her to level up efficiently. With a mischievous grin, she mentions a really cool senior in the guild who has taught her magic and is only 2 years older than Rin, hoping to make him jealous. However, contrary to her expectations, Rin doesn't seem to mind at all. This frustrates Yui, but Rin, with a gentle smile, tells her he's happy she was able to acquire elementary magic. Her frustration melts away as she feels the warmth of his appreciation. With the perfect skill now available for Hana to imitate, Rin suggests they test skill imitation right away. Yui and Hana join hands, and Hana activates her skill imitation. Excitedly, Hana expresses her joy at finally being able to copy Yui's skill. Just then, a pack of lesser wolves, level 5, arrives. Yui eagerly asks if she can handle them. She uses her fireball magic and defeats the lesser wolves with a single, powerful blow. Next, it's Hana's turn. Nervously, she steps forward to attack the wolves. Like Yui, Hana casts a fireball, but her fireball is so small that it barely scratches the wolves. Panicking, Hana fears the wolves will now attack her. However, Rin quickly steps in as the hero and positions himself between Hana and the wolves, swiftly taking them down. Hana thanks her big brother for saving her, as always. Rin realizes that Hana's skill imitation doesn't match the power of the original magic. The effectiveness of the skill is determined by both the skill level and the caster's ability. Naturally, Hana's magic, being at a lower level, is less powerful. A bit disappointed, Hana questions the true strength of her unique skill, which is supposed to be exceptionally amazing. Rin explains that, on the contrary, the skill will grow stronger as Hana levels up. Some skills have fixed damage based on skill level, but ultimately it depends on how Hana uses them. Hana realizes that to become stronger, she will need to put in a lot of effort, and she commits herself fully to improving. Rin acknowledges her determination and decides to start by teaching her the basics of adventuring. Just then, another pack of lesser wolves, having detected their presence from afar, appears. This time, Hana steps forward with greater enthusiasm and determination. Rin assesses the situation, noting that Rei is skilled in medium-range combat, Yui excels at supporting from a distance, and Hana has the potential to handle both roles. The team balance is surprisingly effective, and with a tank, their party could become quite powerful. However, Rin knows that such a setup is unlikely due to their differing levels and Yui's guild affiliation, so he considers it more of a distant fantasy than a practical reality. Afterward, they work for about an hour, successfully wrapping up a fulfilling day. The next day, they prepare to explore the dungeon again, and a week later, the moment they've been waiting for finally arrives. At the bottom floor of a C-rank Nimi dungeon, Rin completes the dungeon the required number of times, earning a 25 level bonus increase. From that point on, even if he clears the dungeon again, there will be no reward. He jumps in excitement, thrilled to have achieved his goal of clearing 10 dungeons. Eagerly, he shouts to Grace asking what reward he will receive now that he's reached his target. Will it be an increase in effects, or perhaps a new skill? His curiosity is at its peak. Without teleportation, it would have been nearly impossible to meet this goal, so he is genuinely hopeful for a significant reward. Suddenly, a voice echoes, announcing that the title holder has completed 10 dungeons and, as a reward, will be given the right to challenge the extra dungeon known as the Magic Tower of Isolation. Rin can't comprehend what is meant by extra dungeon. The voice echoes again, stating that the target's current status has been recorded and that he cannot advance to the next level until he challenges the Magic Tower of Isolation. It also mentions that the internal conditions of the Magic Tower of Isolation have been adjusted according to his status. An error message appears, indicating that the Magic Tower of Isolation doesn't yet exist because Rin is the first ever subject to challenge this level. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently. Rin, thinking it's an earthquake, struggles to maintain his balance. The voice echoes once more, and the Magic Tower of Isolation is finally created. Out of nowhere, a piece of paper materializes and lands in Rin's hand. Upon examining it with his appraisal technique, he discovers it is a challenge ticket for the Magic Tower of Isolation. Holding the ticket in his hand, Rin can't fully grasp the situation. The voice asks if he wants to challenge the Magic Tower of Isolation. Rin hesitates, uncertain if he should accept the invitation, especially since there's no obligation to do so. However, he realizes he has no choice but to take on the challenge, as he cannot progress to the next level until he faces the Magic Tower of Isolation. Rin understands it is time to return, but first he needs to figure out what exactly the Magic Tower of Isolation is. He has never heard of such a place, and without knowing its location, there is no way he can go there. As he exits the dungeon, he notices a crowd of adventurers gathered, all staring at something with wide eyes. Curious, he approaches and discovers a massive tower standing in the middle of the city, a structure that wasn't there before. The adventurers are just as bewildered as Rin, speculating about how the tower could have appeared so suddenly. Some guess it might be a dungeon, but no one is certain what it really is. Rin, however, is the only person who knows exactly what the mysterious tower is and how it came to be. It's the Tower of Isolation, the one mentioned in the challenge he heard in the dungeon earlier. With the challenge ticket in hand, he boldly declares that he will face this new dungeon. His status board, displaying an impressive level of 6604, confirms his readiness for teleportation. The details of the sword he has equipped are also visible on the status screen, ensuring he is fully prepared. Later that night, Rin sits with his little sister Hannah in front of the TV, sipping tea as the news about the newly appeared tower dominates the headlines. The newscaster reports that no gate typically found at dungeon entrances has been discovered at the tower, and there are many unanswered questions about it. Rin knows it's the magic Tower of Isolation, but has no idea why it appeared. Everyone is curious about the secrets the dungeon holds, but they understand the only way to uncover them is by exploring it. Rin plans to attempt the dungeon the next day, even though it will be his first time entering a dungeon with no prior information. Realizing the importance of being prepared, he decides to pack some food for the journey. As he thinks through his plan, he turns to Hannah, sitting beside him on the couch, and tells her that he'll be away for a few days starting tomorrow. Hannah, curious and playful, asking where he's going and jokingly suggesting that maybe he has a girlfriend, which is why he's keeping secrets from his little sister. She also wonders if he'll be back in time for her upcoming dungeon training, reminding him of her formal adventure certification week, where parents and guardians can accompany participants. Rin promises her that he will try his best to return before then. Hannah smiles and reassures him that he doesn't need to worry too much about her, as she has learned a lot from him and his friends and feels confident she can manage on her own. However, Rin cautions her not to be careless in the dungeon, no matter how much she has learned. The next day, Rin visits a store to prepare for his journey. He buys HP and MP recovery potions, giant exploding stones, and a new short sword, spending most of his savings, over 50 million yen, on these necessities. After stocking up, he heads to the Magic Tower of Isolation. Upon arrival, he encounters some unexpected guests, the Dungeon Association staff. Given the sudden appearance of such a mysterious tower in the city, it makes sense that the association would be there to investigate. With no other choice, Rin activates his concealment magic and dashes closer to the tower, moving right in front of the staff like an invisible shadow. Wasting no time, he retrieves the challenge ticket from his inventory. He knows he can only enter the tower once with this ticket, so he carefully tears it in half. As he does, a bright light surrounds him, and his heartbeat quickens in anticipation of what this extra dungeon might hold. In the blink of an eye, Rin finds himself standing in a vast green expanse with nothing in sight. There are no visible walls or ceilings, making it feel as if he's in an open field rather than inside a tower. The interior of the tower seems to have been magically expanded. This is unlike any dungeon he has encountered before. To confirm his location, Rin decides to test his teleportation magic. He successfully teleports, confirming that he is indeed inside the dungeon, despite its strange appearance. Pondering his next move, Rin wonders if his goal is to ascend to the top of the tower, but there are no stairs, and the sky above is empty. He feels at a loss. Just then, the familiar voice of Grace echoes once more, announcing that Rin has successfully entered the Magic Tower of Isolation. The tower consists of 10 levels, each with a unique quest that Rin must complete to advance to the next. The first quest is to exterminate all magic wolves on the level. Rin can't help but feel as though he's in a game, where clearing each stage leads to a reward. To get started, he activates his enemy search skill and quickly senses 5 monsters a short distance ahead. They are moving at an incredibly high speed. It doesn't take long for Rin to realize that all 5 are heading straight for him. He sees clouds of dust rising in the distance, confirming that these are firewolves, charging at him with intense bloodlust. The sight triggers memories of his last encounter with firewolves in the Maru dungeon, where he fought countless numbers to summon the King Rainbow. But there's no time to dwell on the past. His immediate task is to defeat these monsters. Before engaging, Rin uses his appraisal skill to check the wolves' levels, and to his shock, they are at level 4000. For regular wolves, this is incredibly high, far more formidable than he anticipated. The fire wolves are covered in thick red fur, granting them excellent fire resistance. Their agile movements and the flames they breathe from their mouths are exceptionally powerful. Their levels are much higher than anything Rin has ever faced. The wolves he fought before were around level 1000, but these are on a completely different scale. Despite the daunting challenge, Rin knows he has no choice but to face them. Steeling himself, he grips his sword tightly and dashes toward the wolves, who are rapidly closing in. His mind is set on ending the fight quickly. Even though he is equipped with the Ring of Maru, which offers some protection, the wolves' magic attacks still inflict damage. His best strategy is to take them down before they can launch any significant attacks. Rin swiftly strikes down the first wolf, then the second, continuing with the same ferocity until all 5 are defeated. However, when he tries to collect the spoils of victory, he realizes it's not possible in this dungeon. Although he has managed to defeat these 5 wolves, he knows the challenge is far from over. The thought of facing a larger pack, perhaps 10 or more wolves, or even other types of monsters mixed in, troubles him deeply. He wonders just how many wolves and what other dangers might be lurking within this hierarchy. The first battle has been tough, but it's likely only a taste of what's to come. Rin is confident he can handle 100 or even 200 wolves, but he knows things will get complicated if their numbers exceed 500. As a solo player, Rin finds it easier to take down a single powerful monster rather than face an endless horde of weaker ones. Catching himself before he can dwell on the difficulties, he reminds himself not to whine or complain. Instead, he resolves to tackle the challenge head-on and complete the quest as quickly as possible. Just as he regains focus, the ground beneath him shakes violently, resembling an earthquake. Puzzled, Rin looks around, trying to figure out what's happening. He notices a massive cloud of dust in the distance and quickly realizes that something dangerous is headed his way. A massive horde of firewolves races toward him at an incredible speed, making survival seem almost impossible. He needs to defeat a total of 5,000 monsters to clear this level, but so far, he's only managed to take down 5. The wolves quickly surround him, forming a tight circle as Rin stands in the middle, tears welling up in his eyes as he fully grasps the enormity of the challenge before him. It feels like his personal nightmare has just begun. Rin begins slaying the wolves one by one, and with each kill, he gains a single XP in return. The sword he wields, aptly named the Speed Sword, proves to be a fortunate purchase for his journey to the Magic Tower of Isolation. Crafted by an adventurer with blacksmithing skills, this sword is especially effective against low-level enemies, keeping his speed parameters high and allowing him to adapt swiftly. His more powerful weapon would have been overkill in this situation. As he continues the fight, Rin notices that the wolf pack is composed of mixed types this time, including earth wolves and water wolves. Even though each individual attack from the wolves deals only a small amount of damage, it begins to accumulate, and his HP drops dangerously close to 20%. Realizing the severity of the situation, Rin knows he has no choice but to use his high-speed movement ability, which boosts his speed by an additional 60% but costs him 10 MP per second. Although he wants to conserve his MP, the relentless assault from the wolves leaves him no choice. He needs to defeat them as quickly as possible. With each wolf he defeats, his HP slightly increases by 1 point, providing a small but crucial buffer. Just as he starts gaining some ground, the King Rainbow Wolf appears, a formidable beast with a level over 7,000. This bull-like monster boasts multicolored fur that shimmers in a lustrous range of 9 shades. Despite its size, it possesses extraordinary agility and resilience, and can attack with a variety of powerful magic. Excited to finally face the challenge head-on, Rin draws his powerful nameless sword, ready to deal with the King Rainbow Wolf. With a manic expression, he channels his frustration and determination into the fight. It doesn't take long for him to defeat the King Rainbow Wolf, and he sees his XP increase by 10 levels. However, he has only completed about 20% of the quest, having defeated 1,023 monsters out of 5,000, and he has been fighting for over an hour. Feeling the strain, Rin gulps down recovery potions to restore his HP and MP. After replenishing his resources, he has 3,610 SP available. He uses this to level up his magic power skill from level 2 to level 5, which adds 50% to his MP. This upgrade allows him to activate his high-speed movement for longer periods, enabling him to use it more liberally during combat. As the second horde of wolves approaches, Rin knows he needs to stay on the offensive. Letting the wolves take the initiative would be disastrous. He needs to maintain the upper hand from start to finish, ensuring he doesn't let his guard down. To prepare for the next round, Rin slaps his cheeks to refocus and braces for another intense bout of fighting. As time wears on, Rin's sense of time blurs. He loses count of how many wolves he has defeated. The third and fourth hours pass in rapid succession. His hands grow numb from the constant swinging of his sword, but he presses on, driven by necessity. He ponders the nature of adventuring. Typically, adventurers challenge enemies that match their skill level, a standard approach ensuring a fair fight. Yet there are those who venture beyond their comfort zones. He isn't referring to rank A adventurers, the elite of the elite, but rather to those who surpass even them. These higher tier adventurers take on extremely difficult dungeons daily, where facing unexpected situations is the norm. They constantly battle monsters stronger than those Rin has encountered, embodying the true essence of dungeon challenges. In the final moments of a battle, where even the slightest carelessness could result in death, only those who truly overcome these trials are rewarded with valuable prizes. Rin's heartbeat quickens as excitement surges within him. He realizes he's not just challenging a dungeon, he's taking on something no one has ever faced before. His dream of becoming a top adventurer has always been about not just catching up to the S-rank adventurers, the pinnacle of the field, but surpassing them to become the strongest in the world. This isn't just about achieving a goal, it's about not accepting defeat and pushing beyond the limits. Fueled by determination and excitement, he shouts with conviction, vowing to clear this level. His XP steadily increases as he continues to defeat the monsters one by one. After 5 grueling hours of relentless combat, Rin finally completes the level 1 quest of Magic Wolf Extermination. He successfully defeats all 5,000 monsters, and his hard work is rewarded. His level increases by 50, bringing his personal level from 6,604 to a staggering 6,900. In total, he has gained 296 levels by the end of the first quest. Exhausted, Rin collapses onto the grass, feeling a mix of exhilaration and fatigue. His body is completely worn out, and he realizes he is in no condition to continue fighting in his current state. He needs rest. Just as he begins to relax, the familiar voice echoes once more, announcing that he has cleared the first quest and is now eligible to challenge level 2. He faces a critical decision. He can either proceed to challenge level 2 within the next 24 hours or choose to retire. If he retires, he won't be able to attempt the Magic Tower of Isolation again, but he will be granted a full 24 hours of rest. Ideally, he would prefer to teleport out, level up in other dungeons, and return to challenge the next level with ease. However, this isn't a typical dungeon, and there's no guarantee he'll be able to re-enter, or that the next level will even appear if he leaves. Given the high difficulty of the dungeon, the rewards promise to be exceptional, and Rin is determined to secure them. Thus, the only logical choice is to recover both his mental and physical strength before tackling the next level. He opens his item box and retrieves some energy drinks and food, though his appetite is lacking. Despite this, he forces himself to eat to regain his strength. After eating, Rin decides to rest, but as he closes his eyes, the bright sky feels too glaring for him to sleep. Frustrated, he calls out to the system asking if it can adjust the brightness of the sky. To his surprise, the sky transforms into a serene night sky, filled with stars and a glowing moon. The system's response seems unexpectedly kind, but Rin remains wary. He suspects the system might be using a psychological tactic to manipulate him, especially after pushing him to his limits. Determined not to be deceived, he reminds himself that the system is unreliable. Annoyed, he shouts at the system, calling it trash. In response, the sky immediately reverts to its glaring brightness, with the sun shining directly overhead. He apologizes to the system and requests the night sky again, managing to get some much-needed rest. After a solid 10 hours of sleep, he wakes up with his HP and MP nearly restored, his body feeling revitalized. Confident in his recovery, he prepares to face the next level. With no visible stairs indicating how to advance, Rin is unsure of how to proceed. The system's voice reappears, asking him to state his choice, whether to challenge level 2 or retire. Rin chooses to challenge level 2, and the voice confirms his choice. A bright light envelops him, and when it dissipates, he finds himself in a large, empty room with visible walls and a ceiling. He's still within the same dungeon, but the setup puzzles him. The system announces that the quest for level 2 is to defeat the Reflect Knight. As Rin turns around, he spots the Reflect Knight standing behind him, resembling the nameless knight he encountered in another dungeon. Rin uses his appraisal skill to check the Reflect Knights, and is shocked to find it exactly at 6,604, the same as his own. The Reflect Knight mirrors his stats, making it a direct reflection of himself and the nameless knight from before. The system informs him that he cannot advance until he defeats the Reflect Knight, making it a crucial part of his challenge. Determined to face this powerful foe, Rin braces himself for battle, uncertain of how the Reflect Knight will attack. To his astonishment, the Reflect Knight moves with exceptional speed, appearing mere centimeters away from Rin's face in an instant. Rin realizes that this speed comes from the speed sword he wields, designed to enhance his own speed and stats against higher level opponents. However, even with this advantage, the Reflect Knight's speed and power are overwhelming. With the sword's boost, the Reflect Knight's stats reach close to those of a level 10,000 opponent, making it a formidable adversary. Rin raises his sword, aiming to turn the Reflect Knight into a training dummy for practice, but the fight quickly proves more challenging than he anticipated. From the start, Rin employs both super strength and super speed, augmenting his physical attributes by 60%. Even with these enhancements, he struggles to close the gap between himself and the Reflect Knight, which matches his every move. The Reflect Knight, equipped with super strength and speed as well, complicates Rin's situation further. His usual advantage of speed, which had been decisive in previous battles, is ineffective against this foe. The knight is not only as fast as he is, but also as strong. Rin knows he must adapt quickly. He needs a new strategy to counter this powerful opponent and regain control of the battle. Rin's mind races as he considers his next move. His earlier attempts to leverage speed have failed, so he needs to try something else. He decides to fully utilize the speed sword, crafted by a skilled blacksmith, to significantly boost his attack and speed more than his other weapons. The sword has a passive effect that adds plus 1600 to his speed, and by equipping it, Rin hopes to close the speed gap between himself and the Reflect Knight. The challenge now is not just to keep up with the knight, but to find a way to counterattack effectively. Rin retrieves exploding stones from his item box, purchased earlier with the hope of creating distance and disorienting the Reflect Knight. He hurls the stones, and the explosions create a dense cloud of smoke, obscuring his presence and giving him temporary cover. Rin seizes the opportunity to use his conceal magic, hoping to stay hidden while the knight is momentarily confused. However, Rin soon senses another presence. The Reflect Knight is using enemy search magic to detect his location despite his concealment. Realizing he can't rely on concealment alone, Rin quickly assesses his situation. The knight's ability to track him through the smoke demonstrates its adeptness with magic. Rin maneuvers around the battlefield, staying out of the Reflect Knight's direct line of sight while preparing for his next attack. As the smoke begins to clear, Rin knows the time for his next move is approaching. He remains focused, throwing more exploding stones to create additional smoke and confusion, masking his presence. Each time the Reflect Knight tries to locate him using search magic, Rin dodges and reapplies conceal magic to stay hidden. The battle drags on for an hour, with Rin's efforts slowly wearing down the knight. Eventually, he notices a significant development. The Reflect Knight has exhausted its MP. Without its magical resources, the knight can no longer use super strength or speed, the two crucial advantages that had kept it ahead of Rin. With the battle dynamics shifted, Rin decides to capitalize on the Reflect Knight's vulnerabilities. His status has improved thanks to the level ups he gained on the first floor, and he upgraded his magic power skill from level 2 to 5. Realizing these enhancements can turn the tide of battle, Rin uses some of his SP to further upgrade his super strength from level 6 to 7, significantly boosting his raw attack power. Now stronger, and with the Reflect Knight's magic neutralized, Rin prepares for a decisive strike. He grips his nameless sword, summoning all his strength and focus. With a powerful swing, Rin strikes the Reflect Knight's neck, cleaving it in. The battle is over. Rin has defeated the Reflect Knight, and as a result, he gains a substantial amount of XP, leveling up by 26. The system declares that Rin has successfully completed the level 2 quest and rewards him with a level increase of 100. His level now stands at an impressive 7026, and the total level increases within the Magic Tower of Isolation have reached 422. He is now eager to tackle level 3. The teleportation process begins once more, and Rin finds himself in a new environment, a maze. The system announces that the level 3 quest is to navigate through the heavily besieged maze. A video window materializes in front of him, showing a path through the maze. The system explains that following the path depicted in the video will lead him to clear the quest. At first glance, the task seems straightforward. However, Rin's instincts tell him that things are rarely as simple as they seem in high difficulty dungeons. He feels that there might be hidden dangers or additional challenges that the system has not yet revealed. He encounters a formidable array of enemies, skeleton magicians and knights with levels ranging from 600 to 6500. These undead monsters, constructed entirely of bones, are formidable foes that wield a variety of powerful magic attacks. They don't flinch when attacked and engage with relentless aggression. The skeleton magicians prove particularly troublesome. Their magic attacks are difficult to avoid in the narrow passages of the maze. Rin finds himself in precarious situations, often surrounded and pincer attacked by these relentless undead. Each time he is cornered, he feels the danger of imminent death. However, Rin's quick thinking and strategic use of his skills allow him to navigate these challenges. His dungeon teleportation skill at level 18 becomes crucial. It enables him to teleport out of danger when surrounded, giving him a way to escape the relentless assault of the undead monsters. This skill allows him to avoid direct confrontations, conserving his energy and health. Despite his efforts, the maze proves to be more complex and expansive than he initially anticipates. Wandering blindly through its labyrinthine corridors risks prolonging his ordeal and potentially leading him further away from his goal. He realizes that aimless exploration will not be effective. Eventually, Rin notices a significant concentration of monsters in one particular direction, suggesting they are guarding something important. He surmises that this direction likely leads to the goal of the quest. Determined to advance, Rin activates his conceal magic, hoping to reduce the likelihood of being detected by the monsters. Even with this precaution, some encounters are inevitable. He braces himself for battle, knowing the concentration of enemies ahead will be a serious challenge. Rin's strategy is to use his teleportation skills to bypass or mitigate fights with the undead monsters, while carefully advancing through the maze. As he continues, he remains vigilant and adaptable, ready to adjust his approach as needed to overcome the obstacles in his path and complete the quest. Rin's plan to eliminate the undead monsters before they can call for reinforcements proves effective as he manages to reach the goal of level 3. However, just as he approaches it, the situation worsens. A massive cluster of undead monsters blocks his path, and to make matters worse, more monsters arrive from behind as reinforcements, leaving him with no escape. Despite using conceal magic, which previously helped him avoid detection, the sudden appearance of additional enemies forces Rin to adapt quickly. With no time to spare, Rin takes a bold step. He swings his sword with determination and charges toward the densely packed enemies. His plan is to break through their defenses using his speed and power, while concealed magic helps him get as close to the goal as possible before the undead monsters can unleash their magic attacks. As he approaches the cluster of enemies, a skeleton magician casts a powerful fire attack aimed directly at him. The fireball's intensity makes dodging nearly impossible. In a moment of quick thinking, Rin decides to stand still, using a risky tactic. Just as the fireball is about to hit, he uses his dungeon teleportation skill to evade the attack. The fireball explodes where he had been standing, and Rin reappears in a safer position, ready to continue his assault. With the immediate threat of the fire attack neutralized, Rin swings his sword with precision, cutting down the remaining undead monsters in a single, decisive move. The maze that had been heavily besieged now lies clear before him. As soon as the last of the undead falls, the system's voice announces that Rin has completed the level 3 quest, Heavily Besieged Maze. The clearance reward for this level is a significant increase in his level by 150. Rin takes a moment to catch his breath, relieved and satisfied with his accomplishment. His level is now at 7,176. And he has successfully cleared another challenging level of the Magic Tower of Isolation. With renewed determination, Rin prepares himself for the next challenge, ready to face whatever awaits him in level 4. Having cleared level 3, Rin has now gained a total of 587 levels within the Magic Tower of Isolation, and has successfully navigated the challenges of the level 3 maze. Suddenly, 4 pedestals appear before him, each showing signs that something once belonged there. Even more intriguing are the 4 gates in front of each, emanating an extraordinary concentration of mana, far surpassing any auras he has encountered before. Clearly, the difficulty of level 4 will be a significant step up from what he has faced so far. The system's voice echoes once more, announcing the level 4 quest, the Jewel of Death Beasts. To complete this quest, Rin needs to reach a designated location by breaking through a magical barrier. Behind each gate in level 4 is a fearsome death beast, beasts of fire, ice, lightning and wind, each guarding its own jewel. Rin's objective is to steal each jewel and place it on the corresponding pedestal to nullify the magic attribute of the barrier. The death beasts guarding these jewels are all at a formidable level of 50,000. This level has a special rule allowing players to retire midway, but with the caveat that if they choose to retire, they can never attempt the Magic Tower of Isolation again. Initially, Rin is panicked upon learning that the death beasts are all level 50,000, but he quickly reassures himself. The quest does not require him to defeat these beasts. His primary goal is to reach the designated location by breaking through the magical barrier. He realizes that it isn't necessary to steal the jewels either. If he can somehow withstand the magical attacks, he might be able to make it through the barrier and clear the level. However, this approach seems almost impossible given the circumstances. Facing this daunting challenge, Rin briefly considers retiring, but quickly dismisses the idea. He recognizes that this is likely a tactic by the system to deter him, but quitting is not an option. He reaffirms his commitment to his vow to make decisions on his own terms and adhere to his own will. Even if the quest is designed to be lethal, he resolves not to back down. Rin is determined to clear the quest and complete it faster than anyone else in the world. Around 250 seconds later, the system announces that the level 4 quest, the Jewel of Death Beasts, has been completed. As a reward for clearing the level, Rin's level increases by 200. He successfully and effortlessly navigates through the magical barrier thanks to his dungeon teleportation skill. The system also grants him a bonus reward for his performance in level 4. A small bottle containing a bright liquid potion appears in his hand. Upon using his appraisal skill, Rin discovers that it is a complete recovery potion, which fully restores both HP and MP. This is a surprising find as most dungeon rewards for healing potions only restore up to 50% of HP or MP. This potion seems to have no level limit and could potentially be worth millions of yen if sold. However, as a solo player, Rin sees potions as a vital resource and decides to keep it in his item box for personal use. After a brief rest and using his purification magic, level 1, to clean himself, Rin proceeds to level 5 of the Magic Tower of Isolation. The system announces that this level is called Wise Man's Struggle. Judging by the name, Rin anticipates that the quest will test his intelligence. Just as he prepares himself for the challenge, a gorilla appears in front of him. Using his appraisal skill, Rin discovers that the gorilla is actually level 1000. Realizing that the quest's name, Wise Man's Struggle, is misleading, he understands that the challenge is purely combat focused. The quest requires him to complete it without using any weapons to earn additional rewards. Rin accepts the challenge and decides to fight the gorilla using only his bare hands. After a grueling hand-to-hand battle, Rin manages to defeat the powerful gorilla. As a result, his level increases by 189, and with the completion of level 5, Wise Man's Struggle, his level rises further by 250. He also receives a bonus reward, the title Wiser Wise Man. This title grants a 50% increase to attack, defense, and speed when no weapon is equipped. With his level progressing rapidly, Rin feels confident about his future challenges. He steadily advances through the Magic Tower of Isolation, clearing levels 6 through 9. Level 6, named Evasion, presents a new kind of challenge. Rin finds himself trapped on a 50-meter square floor and must evade magic attacks coming from all directions for 30 minutes straight. As Rin progresses through the second half of the quests, both his physical and mental strengths are tested, but upon completion, he receives a level increase of 300 and the bonus reward, Evasion, which further enhances his ability to avoid attacks. Additionally, he obtains a Magic Severance Medicine, which, when consumed, reduces all magic-related damage by 99% for 10 seconds. This item proves to be a valuable asset, potentially turning the tide in future battles. Level 7 tests Rin's stamina and strength. The quest resembles level 1's challenge, requiring him to face an endless stream of monsters. Rin equips his nameless sword and systematically defeats the monsters, gaining 1 XP per kill. Successfully completing this level rewards him with a level increase of 350. Level 8 is a test of intellectual ability, requiring more than just brute force. This quest takes Rin a considerable amount of time to clear, as it demands careful thought and strategy. The clearance reward is a significant level increase of 400. Level 9 presents a challenge similar to level 6, with an onslaught of magic attacks. Rin prepares himself for the difficult quest, knowing that he needs to use all his skills and strategies to succeed. He faces level 9 with its most challenging configuration yet. Unlike level 6, this level requires him to defeat several monsters, each around level 10,000, making it the hardest level by far in the dungeon. As Rin engages in battle, his XP climbs rapidly, outpacing even the gains he achieves through dungeon teleportation. By the time he completes level 9, his level has increased by 450. The bonus reward is a skill called Revitalize, which activates automatically when his HP falls to 30% or lower. This skill boosts his attack, speed, and intelligence the lower his HP drops, though Rin hopes he will never need to use it, as it indicates dire circumstances. With level 9 cleared, Rin takes a short nap and makes final preparations for level 10. He has accumulated 12,510 SP and contemplates how best to use it. He considers leveling up his teleportation skill, currently at level 19, but is unsure of its battle effectiveness. Instead, he decides to enhance his super strength to level 9 and super speed to level 10. He also uses the remaining 3010 SP to advance his magic power skill from level 5 to level 7, with his stats bolstered and his skills upgraded. Rin is now ready to tackle the final challenge of the Magic Tower of Isolation, level 10. With his preparations complete, Rin faces the final challenge of the Magic Tower of Isolation. The system teleports him to a vast area covered in dust and rocks, where visibility is limited and the terrain is uneven. As Rin takes in his surroundings, he feels a powerful presence behind him. Turning around, he sees a colossal wolf-like creature with its body covered in sharp thorns, radiating a menacing aura. The creature, known as the King of Lightning, stands several times larger than Rin and lets out a deafening roar that shakes the very ground beneath him. Its level is a staggering 20,000. There are no exits or side doors in this arena, indicating that the only way out is to defeat the King of Lightning. Rin's determination solidifies as he realizes the gravity of the situation. It is a do-or-die battle. Armed with his nameless sword and fully aware of the enormity of the task ahead, Rin prepares himself for the ultimate fight. The King of Lightning is unlike any foe Rin has ever faced. Its massive size makes it difficult to target vital points. Recognizing the challenge, Rin decides to leverage his speed to his advantage. His plan is to use his agility to entangle the creature's limbs, hoping that disrupting its stance will create an opening for a decisive strike. With resolve burning in his eyes, Rin charges toward the King of Lightning, ready to face the fiercest opponent he has encountered in his journey through the magic tower of isolation. Rin is initially surprised to find that the King of Lightning is even faster than him, rendering his speed advantage nearly worthless. Not only does the beast have incredible speed, but it also follows up attacks with ease, making it a formidable opponent. The only vulnerable spot Rin can identify is the creature's defenseless underside, but as soon as he aims for it, his plan faces immediate setbacks. His blade seems to rebound from an invisible barrier, accompanied by a cracking sound that hints at an additional defense. Upon closer examination, Rin realizes that the King of Lightning is surrounded by an invisible barrier, which is not impenetrable but needs repeated attacks to break through. This insight refocuses his strategy. He must relentlessly strike the same spot until the barrier gives way. As Rin prepares to execute his new approach, the King of Lightning roars loudly, causing the ground to shake. Moments later, a lightning attack strikes, creating a gaping hole in the ground. Rin barely manages to dodge the attack, but he knows that the lightning strikes will continue. He detects traces of mana preceding each strike, but predicting the exact moments and locations of the attacks proves difficult. Determined to find a way to overcome the barrier and survive the relentless lightning strikes, Rin adjusts his tactics. He focuses on striking the same spot repeatedly to weaken the barrier while staying vigilant to dodge the incoming lightning attacks. Each attack needs to be precise and timed well to avoid the powerful electrical assaults, all while maintaining his assault on the barrier to create an opening for a decisive strike. Realizing that he must stay alert to the King of Lightning's mana flow and spellcasting, Rin focuses on his enemy search skill to track any changes in the magical energy around the creature. Although utilizing this skill over a wide range drains a significant amount of his mana, Rin is determined to defeat the King of Lightning before his own resources are exhausted. With renewed resolve, Rin dashes toward the King of Lightning, nameless sword in hand. The barrier around the beast is visibly cracking, signaling that his relentless attacks are making an impact. However, sensing another lightning strike about to be unleashed, Rin uses his enemy search skill once more. This time he is alarmed to see not just a flow of mana, but a massive magic circle forming in the sky directly above the King of Lightning. The intensity of the magic circle is far beyond anything he has encountered before, and it appears to be preparing a devastating spell. Recognizing that staying within its range would spell disaster, Rin quickly maneuvers to a safer position. His plan is to wait until the spell is cast, hoping that the King of Lightning will be momentarily vulnerable. As anticipated, the lightning strike from the magic circle is far more powerful than previous attacks. The ground scorches beneath him, and Rin narrowly avoids the brunt of the spell. Despite his efforts, he notices that the King of Lightning shows no visible signs of damage, suggesting that the barrier might be regenerating. Determined not to be deterred, Rin continues his assault on the barrier, aiming to weaken it further. He realizes that if the barrier is indeed regenerating, he must intensify his attacks and find a way to exploit any openings in its defenses. He aims to break through the barrier and deliver a decisive blow before the King of Lightning can fully restore its defenses. As Rin battles the King of Lightning, he finds himself increasingly overwhelmed. His appraisal skill reveals that the King of Lightning's level has risen to 25,000, a stark increase from its initial 20,000. The sheer scale of this battle is unlike anything he's faced before. The King of Lightning's power is beyond what he had prepared for. The lightning strikes from the beast are relentless and devastating. Even a glancing hit from one of these strikes causes severe pain and drains nearly 1,000 of Rin's HP. The creature's speed makes it nearly impossible for Rin to land a counterattack, and he quickly realizes that his usual tactics are ineffective. In a desperate bid to escape, Rin considers using his dungeon teleportation skill. However, the King of Lightning's speed and relentless attacks leave him with less than 0.8 seconds of safety needed to activate the teleportation. The thought of retreating to lower levels of the tower is quickly dismissed as unfeasible. Undeterred, Rin decides to press on and attempts another direct assault. As he dashes toward the King of Lightning and swings his sword, he is horrified to see that the lightning from the beast travels through his weapon. The electrical energy strikes him with full force, causing his HP to drop by another 3,000. The King of Lightning's defense and offense are proving to be overwhelmingly effective against Rin's strategies. The barrier around the beast, combined with its heightened level and powerful magic, makes it clear that this final level is designed to push him beyond his limits. Rin feels the weight of the challenge and the potential impossibility of defeating the beast. Determined to overcome this challenge, Rin knows he needs a new strategy. He must find a way to break through the King of Lightning's defenses, evade its powerful attacks, and somehow gain an advantage. Another attack reduces his HP to less than half with a single strike, shattering his Ring of Meru into pieces. With just one more hit, Rin will be doomed. Several of his bones are broken, leaving him barely able to move. Despite his dire situation, Rin is determined not to let this be his end. As the King of Lightning prepares to strike again, Rin somehow manages to evade the attack. Surprised by his own agility, Rin realizes it is due to his newly acquired skill, Revitalize, which activates when his HP drops to 30% or lower. With his HP around 20%, Revitalize provides a 50% boost. Although this boost saves his life, a new problem arises. He needs to devise a plan quickly. Rin considers relying on the effects of Revitalize to attack the monster head-on with his enhanced strength and speed. However, he quickly dismisses this idea, understanding that repeatedly striking the barrier surrounding the monster would be a better strategy. Direct attacks would trigger the lightning counterattack, and with his HP so low, he could drop to 0 in the blink of an eye. Reluctantly, he uncorks the bottle of Complete Recovery Potion, a bonus reward from a previous level, and drinks it down. Miraculously, both his HP and MP are fully restored in an instant, but now he faces another dilemma. His opponent is surpassing him in every aspect, turning the battle into a predator-prey scenario. No matter what plan he devises, nothing seems feasible. He lacks a single weapon capable of penetrating the beast's barrier and inflicting damage. Suddenly, an idea clicks in his mind. It's a risky plan, and he's unsure if it will work, but he knows he only needs a brief moment to claim victory. Determined, Rin decides to push beyond his limits and see his plan through. With his sword in hand, he dashes toward the King of Lightning, calculating that the power of an attack is determined by force multiplied by speed. At this moment, the relative velocity between him and the beast is at its peak, and he intends to use his own stats against the monster. Fully resolved to end the fight, Rin swings his sword at the beast, but to his surprise, the creature vanishes. Before he can react, the beast reappears above him, ready to strike. It lands directly on him, gripping his body in its claws and pinning him to the ground. His HP plummets, and he knows that if the lightning keeps raining down on him, the damage will accumulate, leading to his demise. However, Rin has one more ace up his sleeve. Despite the onslaught of lightning attacks, he hasn't taken as much damage as it seems, thanks to the Complete Recovery Potion he drank earlier. Although it's unexpected that his all-out attack has been deflected so easily, Rin has managed to create a situation where he is pinned down by the beast, and this, ultimately, is part of his plan. Now, he knows the beast won't move and will wait for his HP to hit 0, but Rin isn't planning to let that happen. Seeing Rin still alive, the beast grows frustrated, unable to comprehend why he hasn't died yet. But it's already too late. The time Rin needs to activate his plan has passed. He uses his dungeon teleportation in a way he's never attempted before. Instead of teleporting to safety, he teleports directly inside the beast's body. Meanwhile, Hana grows impatient, frustrated by how late her big brother is. It's the day of dungeon training, and she wants him to come with, but it seems like he won't make it in time. Disappointed, she prepares to leave, leaving him a message on his phone before heading out. She is so angry that she resolves to complain a lot when he finally returns. Inside the beast, Rin is ready to end the fight, but the monster isn't just any ordinary creature. It begins attacking its own body from within, trying to expel him. The effects of the magic rebound medicine have already worn off, and Rin knows to take any hits. He tears his way out of the monster by creating a massive hole in its stomach, but even that isn't enough to kill it. The beast tries to pin him down again, but Rin dodges the attack just in time. As he evades, he aims his sword at the beast's neck. Determined to deliver a decisive blow, Rin notices the monster's movement starting to slow from the accumulated damage. Meanwhile, as his HP drops, his revitalized skill kicks in, accelerating his movements. The monster roars loudly, signaling a desperate all-out attack, thrashing with its mouth and completely neglecting its own defense. Rin seizes the opportunity, leaping into the air above the monster's head and aiming for its vital spot on the top of its skull. His sword pierces through the monster's head and it screams in agony. After a few moments of struggle, the monster finally succumbs, leading to its defeat. The system notifies Rin of a 1232 level increase. The level 10 quest, the King of Lightning, has finally been completed, and as a clearance reward, his level increases by an additional 500. Rin can hardly believe it is over after such a struggle. He realizes he has reached a milestone by surpassing level 10,000, but he knows this still doesn't place him among the top rankers. The obstacle of time is apparent. Those who have the most time on their side naturally rise to the top, even as Rin slowly claws his way up. Despite clearing all the floors of the Magic Tower of Isolation, Rin wonders if the only reward is a level increase. If that is the case, he finds it pretty disappointing. As Rin ponders the rewards, the system's voice suddenly announces, "Extra Dungeon, Magic Tower of Isolation completed." Confirming completion rewards, Rin listens intently as the system details the 3 rewards he has earned. The first reward is a skill named Battle Barrier, which allows him to create a mana barrier around a target. The strength and duration of the barrier depend on the skill's level, with a cooldown of 60 seconds. Rin realizes this is the same skill the Lightning Beast used against him. It's a powerful skill that aligns well with his combat style. The barrier completely blocks damage damage until it's broken, opening up the possibility of taking on dangerous missions with a new level of confidence. This reward greatly expands his combat options. The second reward is based on the system's analysis of Rin's status as the Conqueror and the methods he used to complete the Magic Tower of Isolation. The system grants him the most suitable item. After the analysis, the system classifies him as a Bloodless Eater, a classification with an occurrence rate of only 0.1%. Something materializes in front of him, and as Rin reaches out to touch it, he suddenly feels a sharp sensation, like a slap across his face. Startled, he wonders if this is some kind of system error. The system then announces, "Error detected. The Conqueror has not met all conditions to receive the third reward. Therefore, the third reward cannot be granted." Rin is left in a state of confusion and frustration. He has fought so hard to reach this point, only to be denied the final reward due to an unmet condition he hadn't even been aware of. The system's voice echoes again, stating, "Since the conditions are not met, the Conqueror will be granted a consolation reward. The consolation reward will be information about the dungeon. The Conqueror will be analyzed and will automatically receive information deemed most valuable based on the analysis of the data." Rin knows that certain dungeon secrets remain unknown to others, like the Danger Crawler title and the true purpose of the Magic Tower of Isolation. However, there is still an overwhelming amount of unknown information about dungeons in general. For starters, what exactly are dungeons? Why are people given levels and skills? These questions have remained unanswered since dungeons first appeared 20 years ago. With this new, supposedly exclusive information about dungeons that no one else knows, Rin believes he might finally get a glimpse beyond the tip of the iceberg. The system's voice chimes in once more saying, "Conqueror, analysis completed. Consolation reward will be granted." A rectangular box appears in front of Rin, looking like a hologram. He wonders what it contains and what secrets it might hold. Meanwhile, Hannah arrives at the E-ranked Smithkey dungeon, where the dungeon training is scheduled to take place. Lost in her thoughts about the upcoming training, Hannah is suddenly interrupted by a cheerful voice greeting her with a good morning. It's Yanagi, a charming boy with kind eyes who smiles warmly at her. He asks why she is alone today, and Hannah explains that her brother is out of town for a few days. However, he has taught her a lot in advance, so she feels confident she can manage on her own. Giri then announces that it's time to start the dungeon training. He informs the adventurers that, unlike the previous session, the monsters they will face this time are slightly stronger. However, he reassures them that both he and Yanagi will provide support and assist them if they encounter any dangerous situations. The adventurers line up and begin entering the dungeon one by one. On the third floor of the Smithkey dungeon, their opponents are skeletons, monsters that can be easily defeated by those who have acquired their status. For this training exercise, everyone is required to face the skeletons without assistance, relying solely on their own skills and abilities. Hannah, unlike her previous self, now brims with confidence. She once struggled to even hold a borrowed sword, but now she can swing it with ease, thanks to the status she has obtained. Although Hannah doesn't have any magic skills and must keep her skill imitation ability hidden, she chooses a sword as her weapon, fully utilizing her body strengthening skills. When her turn comes, along with the other adventurers in her row, she dashes toward the skeleton monster and quickly dispatches it without assistance, handling it with surprising ease. Just as the group catches their breath, a loud noise echoes through the dungeon. Everyone turns in shock to see a massive Trant monster towering over them. Giri is astonished, wondering how a level 5000 monster could appear in an E-rank dungeon like this. Yanagi steps forward, saving an adventurer from the Trant's growing branches. Giri joins the fight using his fire spear to block one of the branches and attempting to burn it down. However, to his surprise, the fire barely has any effect, despite Trants being known for their weakness to fire. Panic spreads among the junior adventurers as they realize the danger they are in. Yanagi turns to Giri and urgently tells him to take everyone and escape, assuring him that he can handle the situation. The tension in the air grows as the adventurers recognize they are facing a threat far beyond their capabilities. Giri refuses to leave Yanagi alone, but Yanagi insists, explaining that if they stay, more monsters might appear. Confident in his speed, Yanagi believes he can manage the Trant monster as long as he keeps moving. After a moment of hesitation, Giri reluctantly agrees and instructs Yanagi to hold the monster off for 10 minutes, enough time for the others to reach the surface. Giri quickly informs the other adventurers of the plan, urging them to follow him to the surface. He assures them that he and Yanagi will do everything possible to protect them during this emergency. The group starts moving toward the surface, with Hannah among them. However, as they advance, a branch of the Trant monster suddenly grabs Hannah's feet, immobilizing her. She tries to call for help, but the monster's leaves wrap around her mouth, muffling her cries. Panic surges within her as she struggles against the monstrous plant's grip, unable to break free. Hana knows she must follow the others or risk being left behind. As the Trant monster prepares to strike, Yanagi appears just in time to save her. He quickly assesses the situation and realizes it will be difficult for Hana to catch up with the evacuating group. Yanagi asks her for a favor. He needs her to lend him her unique skill, imitation, to help them both escape. Hana is shocked that Yanagi knows about her secret skill. She hesitates, explaining that her skill can only copy level 1 abilities, and its effectiveness depends on her status, meaning it might not be very useful. What surprises her more is how Yanagi discovered her ability. Yanagi apologizes, admitting that during their last training, he used his enhanced intuition skills on the participants to prevent any potential dangers. In doing so, he overheard her using a concealment skill to hide her unique ability. He admits it was his fault for eavesdropping and assures her he has no intention of causing trouble, which is why he has been quietly keeping an eye on her. Understanding his intentions, Hana replies in a more relaxed tone, saying she understands the situation. However, she reiterates that her skill can only copy level 1 abilities and doesn't transfer the full power of the imitated skill. Yanagi remains confident, assuring her it won't be a problem. Hana reluctantly agrees to let him copy her skill. They touch hands and Yanagi instructs her to copy his bullet skill. As soon as their hands connect, the bullet skill is successfully copied by Hana. Yanagi explains that the skill's power is independent of the user's status, allowing Hana to control the firepower based on the percentage of MP used. Since Yanagi used 20% of his mana to fight the monster, Hana could potentially deal more damage by using 100% of her mana. Though initially unsure if she can manage, Hana resolves to take responsibility and fight the monster. Yanagi warns her to be ready and wait for his signal. He then dashes toward the Trant monster, searching for the perfect moment to strike. When Yanagi gives the signal, Hana unleashes the bullet skill with all her mana. The powerful blast strikes the Trant, dealing massive damage. The monster roars in agony and finally succumbs to the attack. With the Trant defeated, Hana's level increases by 452. She is taken aback by how easily her attack defeated the powerful monster. However, a strange energy from Yanagi makes her uneasy, though she dismisses it as her imagination. His expression seems off as he approaches her, adding to her discomfort. Just then, Gyari returns to retrieve Hana and Yanagi. He is astonished by Yanagi's ability to defeat such a high-level monster alone. Yanagi downplays his role, claiming that his magic had little impact and that Hana's unique skill was the true key to their success. Hana is shocked when Yanagi casually reveals her secret skill. Gyari, unable to detect the skill when he checks her status, is surprised by the revelation. He is about to question how Yanagi knows, but before he can, Yanagi's demeanor shifts dramatically. With a disturbing smile, Yanagi admits he should have asked for Hana's permission, but dismisses it as unimportant. Then, in a swift and shocking move, Yanagi draws his sword and drives it into Gyari's heart. Gyari gasps in shock and pain as he collapses, and Yanagi stands over him, blood-stained sword in hand, wearing a sinister grin as he gazes at Hana from a distance. Hana stands frozen in shock, unable to process the gruesome scene unfolding before her. Gyari, disbelief and agony in his eyes, demands to know Yanagi's motives. Yanagi, unperturbed and shameless, meets Gyari's gaze and mockingly questions if his most powerful skill is advanced magic. He dismisses it as insignificant, revealing his true intent. He killed Gyari to steal his skill. As Gyari's consciousness fades and his body collapses lifeless to the ground, darkness envelops the scene for Hana. Paralyzed by the horror of witnessing murder, she remains unable to act. Yanagi, displaying chilling indifference, blames Gyari for his own death, accusing him of failing to stay above ground. He then turns his attention to Hana, a creepy smile twisting his face. He coldly informs her that she too must die. Bewildered and desperate, Hana asks why he wants to kill her, wondering if she has done something to deserve such a fate. Yanagi's response is devoid of empathy as he reveals his true intentions, deepening her terror and confusion. With a calm, chilling expression, Yanagi explains his motives. He doesn't harbor personal hatred toward Hana. In fact, he's grateful for her unique skill, copy, which he finds ideal for his purposes. Still reeling from the shock, Hana demands to know what he means. Taking pleasure in the macabre conversation, Yanagi makes it clear he is the type of villain one would despise. He discloses his unique skill, Plunder, which allows him to steal one skill from anyone he kills. Hana's eyes widen in realization. Yanagi orchestrated the entire situation to isolate her, leaving himself as the only one left, ensuring he could kill her and take her copy skill. Desperation grows within her as she shouts at Yanagi, asking if he brought the tramp monster into the dungeon. He confirms her worst fears, admitting that his unique skill, Temer, was responsible for summoning the monster. He had obtained this skill by killing its previous holder, and now he proudly carries the title of Temir. Pointing at her, Yanagi declares that she has been chosen as the target for his plunder skill. He makes it clear that this decision is irrevocable unless both the target and the activator agree to change it. Hana realizes her grim fate, now fully aware of Yanagi's horrifying intentions. With everything set in motion, Yanagi is now able to target those he's been in direct contact with. Terrified, Hana turns to flee. Her mind is consumed by the need to survive, her only thought being escape. Yanagi, standing calmly, commands the tramp monster to capture her, and the creature obeys thanks to his Temir skill. In a panic, Hana uses the bullet skill she had copied earlier to destroy the monster. Yanagi is surprised, expecting her to be out of MP. He realizes she must have used the MP gained from leveling up. As Hana attempts to escape after defeating the monster, Yanagi suddenly appears before her, moving at an incredible speed. He strikes her with such force that she's thrown to the ground, her HP halved by the blow. She knows that another hit like that will be fatal. Seeing that she can endure his attacks, Yanagi decides to test another skill. With Gyeri's advanced magic now at his disposal, he conjures a massive fireball in his hand. Hana, trembling on the ground, is gripped by sheer terror. The thought of death overwhelms her, and her life flashes before her eyes. She remembers the tragic news of her parents' deaths when they were traveling abroad. An unidentified dungeon had appeared on a deserted island, causing a plane crash. The plane was attacked by creatures from the dungeon, and all passengers were lost, though their bodies were never found and they were deemed missing. Even as a child, Hana knew the truth. Tears stream down her face as she recalls Rin's unwavering support. He had held her hand through her grief, always there for her. Hana wants to thank him deeply, but also regrets that her constant crying may have kept Rin from grieving properly. She wishes she could apologize, but now it feels too late. Whispering her apology to her brother, her gaze suddenly falls on her ribbon lying on the ground. It had slipped off earlier, and the sight triggers a poignant memory. It was the first time she ventured outside her room after the tragedy. Approaching Rin to apologize, he greeted her with a warm smile, tying a beautiful ribbon in her hair. A gift, he said, was for his little sister. He told her that if she didn't like it, she could tie it herself, but she loved it. She had wanted to apologize, but Rin, understanding her without words, reassured her. He promised her that big brothers are meant to protect their sisters, and that he would never resent her for relying on him. He wanted her to depend on him whenever she was sad or in trouble. He vowed that if he wasn't strong enough to protect her, he would grow stronger until he could. Now, holding the ribbon, Hana remembers Rin's words with a heavy heart. Facing Yanagi, who is ready to strike, she knows she cannot escape or survive the attack. All she can do is trust her brother, just as he had always asked. Summoning all her courage, she shouts his name, pleading for his help. To her immense relief, a familiar soothing voice responds. Opening her eyes, she is overjoyed to see Rin standing between her and Yanagi, shielding her. With a gentle smile, he glances back at her, his presence a comforting reminder that he is still there for her. Rin then turns to Yanagi with a steely gaze, demanding to know if he truly intends to kill Hana. Yanagi, with an evil smirk, confirms that he plans to kill her and steal her unique skill, as it is necessary for his objectives. Rin, growing frustrated, orders the tramp monster to awaken once more. Hana realizes that despite using the bullet skill, she hasn't leveled up, meaning she's still too weak. Yanagi commands the monster to kill both siblings. Hana is terrified, but Rin remains calm, unfazed by the threats. As the monster prepares to strike Rin, she cries out for him to be careful, knowing his level is far too low to withstand the attack. But Rin merely tilts his head slightly and waves his hand, effortlessly brushing the attack aside. The monster is instantly blasted into pieces, leaving both Yanagi and Hana in shock. Fixing Yanagi with a piercing stare as if looking straight into his soul, Rin declares that he will defeat him right here and now. Watching from behind, Hana can't comprehend how Rin destroyed the monster with a simple gesture. She remembers how he had lent her the conceal skill. He never explained why, but now she understands. Rin has been using conceal to hide his true abilities from prying eyes, though she still doesn't grasp why he's gone to such lengths. Yanagi bursts into hysterical laughter, clearly amused. He admits he hadn't expected Rin to defeat the monster with a single move, considering his level is only 5000. Rin, confused, asks how Yanagi knows his level. Smirking, Yanagi reveals that his unique skill, Plunderer, allows him to see the level of anyone he touches. Since they shook hands earlier, this condition was met. Yanagi also realizes that Rin has been hiding his true powers intentionally. Yanagi admits that he had planned to steal all of Rin's skills, but is now disappointed to learn he can't kill Hana while Rin is around. To his surprise, Rin appeared on his own. Deciding to eliminate Rin first, Yanagi uses his Plunderer skill to change targets, which requires the consent of the initial person selected. Yanagi asks Hana to agree, but she refuses, unwilling to betray her brother. Rin turns to Hana and encourages her to give her consent, assuring her that everything will be fine and urging her to trust him. After a moment of hesitation, Hana reluctantly agrees and gives her consent. The voice echoes, announcing that Hana has been released from the plunderer's target and that Rin has been selected as the new target. This decision is final unless both the target and the activator consent otherwise. Now, understanding how the plunderer's skill operates, Rin realizes that with the target shifted to him, Yanagi will no longer pursue Hana. With Yanagi's focus solely on him, Rin feels that the battle will be more manageable. He is determined to defeat Yanagi with his own strength. Yanagi, however, mocks Rin for putting himself in danger instead of saving his sister. In a condescending tone, he dismisses Rin's chances, declaring that he is doomed to fail. Yanagi uses his stammer skill to summon a host of formidable monsters, an Orc King, a Salamander, and a King Ice Wolf. Rin, assessing the situation with his appraisal skill, realizes that these creatures are typically recommended for subjugation by adventurers with levels over 10,000. He is baffled by how Yanagi can command such powerful monsters. Yanagi, with a smirk, explains that these monsters are under the influence of his Tamer skill, which allows him to summon creatures whose levels are lower than his own. When Rin questions how Yanagi, with a level of just 5,000, can summon monsters above 10,000, Yanagi confirms that he has been using a concealment skill to mask his true level. Laughing, Yanagi reveals that his real level exceeds 10,000 and that he possesses several powerful skills acquired through his plunder ability. He boasts that his power is unmatched within his level range. With a taunting gesture, Yanagi points his sword at Rin and declares that Rin has no chance of defeating him and will not escape alive. Desperate and furious, Yanagi orders all his summoned monsters to attack Rin simultaneously. With a calm demeanor, Rin calls forth his swords, Nameless and Greed, and readies himself for the onslaught. His attack speed is so rapid that Yanagi can't even track his movements with the naked eye. Yanagi is confident that the combined offensive magic, capable of overwhelming even adventurers at level 10,000, will leave Rin with no chance of survival. However, after the storm of magic attacks, Yanagi is stunned to see Rin completely unscathed. There isn't even a speck of dust on his clothes. Yanagi can't believe what he is witnessing. He wonders if Rin has used some kind of resistance technique or physical counter, but nothing makes sense. Desperate to break Rin's momentum, Yanagi orders the Orc King to step forward and attack. The Orc King, moving with blinding speed, strikes at Rin, and Yanagi is certain that Rin can't possibly dodge such an attack. But to his shock, Rin effortlessly evades the strike, and with a single fluid motion begins to dismantle the high-level monsters one by one. Each swing of Rin's sword seems effortless, as if defeating these powerful creatures is nothing more than child's play. Yanagi's confidence begins to crumble, and a cold fear grips his heart as he realizes that Rin might actually be able to kill him. His eyes lock onto Rin's sword, which glows with the colors of ruby, rose, sapphire, and amber. Suddenly, the sword becomes engulfed in flames, and with a swift strike, it slashes across Yanagi's shoulder. As Yanagi staggers back, he notices that the vibrant colors on Rin's sword have faded, leaving him in disbelief and pain. Yanagi's mind races as he realizes what has just happened. The magic that disappeared earlier was actually absorbed and then released from Rin's dagger. The truth dawns on him. The sword in Rin's hand is a plundered weapon, and this is a battle between a plunderer and the plunderer's sword. Rin points his short sword at Yanagi, commanding it to devour everything in its path. This is no ordinary weapon. It is a magic stealing sword, a reward given to those who conquer the magic tower of isolation. The blade has the ability to absorb magic when struck by it, by paying the equivalent MP cost. The absorbed magic can then be unleashed without any additional cost. Both warriors stand facing each other, swords drawn and ready. Rin decides to switch his nameless sword for his speed sword, a short sword forged with a blacksmith skill with a recommended level of 6,000 to equip. Rin had noticed that when he slashed at Yanagi earlier, Nameless's special effects hadn't activated, giving him a rough estimate of Yanagi's level, likely between 10,000 and 13,000. However, Yanagi's speed is what truly concerns Rin. As Nameless requires excessive movement to be effective, he realizes that attack power alone won't determine the outcome of this battle. Yanagi can also sense Rin's incredible speed and the weight behind each of his attacks. As their blades clash, it becomes increasingly clear to Yanagi that Rin's physical strength surpasses his own. But Yanagi, fueled by pride and desperation, refuses to accept this reality. He can't fathom being overpowered, especially by someone he had underestimated from the start. Yanagi is in disbelief. The last time he faced Rin, his level was only around 5,000, but now, in such a short period, Rin has more than doubled his level. It is something that seems impossible under normal circumstances. Panic sets in as Yanagi realizes that if this continues, he will be defeated. The real problem is Rin's dagger. Out of all the skills Yanagi has acquired through plunder, more than half are magic based. And as long as Rin wields that dagger, not only will his magic attacks be ineffective, but Rin can also absorb them and turn them against him. The dagger defies common sense. But Yanagi knows that if he can avoid using magic, he might find an opening to counterattack. As Yanagi tries to strategize, Rin continues his relentless assault with the dagger. No matter how much Yanagi tries to understand Rin's power, it makes no sense. His ribs are broken and his body is betraying him. He begins to wonder if he is really going to lose to Rin. Desperate, Yanagi decides to gamble everything he has left. He activates his one-wing flight skill, which grants him a 60% speed boost. But at a steep cost, his HP decreases by 1% per second. This unique skill has severe drawbacks, which is why he has avoided using it until now. But facing death, he has no choice. Rin is momentarily taken aback by Yanagi's sudden increase in speed, but quickly regains his composure. In response, he creates a defensive wall around his body, determined not to give Yanagi any openings. Yanagi, equally determined not to lose, tries to provoke Rin, mocking him by saying he can only defend and lacks the guts to attack. Despite the provocation, Rin remains calm and focused. Yanagi's desperation is evident, and Rin knows that patience and precision will be his greatest assets in this battle. Yanagi's reckless speed is both his strength and his weakness, and Rin is prepared to exploit. Yanagi relentlessly attacks Rin, hoping to break through the defensive barrier surrounding him. To his surprise, he notices a small crack forming in the barrier. Excitement surges through him as he realizes he might be able to shatter it with his next blow. However, just as he prepares to strike, Rin suddenly releases the barrier and launches a swift, precise attack with his sword, leaving Yanagi with no time to react or dodge. Despite the unexpected counterattack, Yanagi remains confident that he can still defeat Rin with one more strike. He dashes toward Rin, but as he closes in, doubt creeps into his mind. Rin isn't moving, he just stands there completely still. What unnerves Yanagi the most are Rin's eyes. They are cold and expressionless, staring directly at him as if peering into his very soul. Rin, on the other hand, acknowledges Yanagi's strength, but recognizes that his opponent has made a critical error. Yanagi has underestimated Rin's true capabilities, unaware of the full nature of Rin's unique skill. That miscalculation will be his downfall. In an instant, Rin activates his dungeon teleportation skill, vanishing from sight. He reappears in different positions around Yanagi, striking from all directions with blinding speed. Yanagi is overwhelmed, barely able to keep up with the rapid onslaught. For the first time, he witnesses the true power of Rin, a force that attacks with precision and speed, far exceeding anything Yanagi had anticipated. As Rin's relentless assault continues, Yanagi realizes he is completely outmatched. The confidence he once held crumbles as the truth sinks in. Yanagi desperately relies on his enemy's search skill, trying to predict where Rin will appear next. He knows he has less than a tenth of a second after each teleport to avoid a fatal blow. His mind races as he tries to devise a strategy to turn the tide, believing that if he can force Rin to use the last of his stolen magic, he might have a chance. But Rin shows no signs of stopping. Suddenly, Rin unleashes a powerful lightning spell, and Yanagi feels a surge of hope. He thinks his plan has worked, that he has successfully baited Rin into using his last bit of magic. Yanagi is certain Rin is now out of tricks. However, Rin isn't finished yet. Instead of letting Yanagi's confidence grow, Rin activates his Time Zero teleportation, an advanced skill that allows him to move instantaneously without delay. Yanagi, assuming Rin will teleport behind him as before, mocks him for being predictable. But when Yanagi turns around, he is shocked to find Rin standing directly in front of him, not behind. Yanagi is completely caught off guard as the lightning attack strikes him with full force. His HP plummets rapidly, like the ratings of a poorly received show. Panic sets in as Yanagi realizes he has miscalculated again. He can't comprehend how Rin still has magic left after everything he's thrown at him. The truth dawns on him too late. Rin's power is far beyond what Yanagi anticipated. Rin has been holding back, strategically using his skills to lure Yanagi into a false sense of security. And now with no more tricks left to play, Yanagi faces the grim reality that he is no match for Rin. Yanagi's mind races as he realizes the extent of Rin's capabilities. It dawns on him that Rin has been using his teleportation not just for offense, but to strategically absorb and counter Yanagi's magic. Rin's physical abilities, weapons, skills, and even his intellect far surpass Yanagi's own. With a sinking heart, Yanagi finally acknowledges that Rin is indeed stronger than him. But Yanagi isn't one to go down without a fight. As Rin's focus is entirely on him, Yanagi seizes the moment and throws a dagger aimed directly at Hana, who is standing behind her brother. His goal has shifted. If he can't kill Hana and steal her skill, he will at least kill Rin. Yanagi banks on the certainty that Rin won't let his sister die and will use his teleportation to shield her. In that split second, Yanagi plans to deliver a fatal blow to Rin, but Rin defies his expectations. Instead of teleporting to protect Hana, Rin appears right in front of Yanagi, blocking his path. Confusion and frustration cloud Yanagi's mind. How could Rin abandon his little sister? As he looks closer, Yanagi notices something he hadn't before. Hana is surrounded by the same barrier Rin used to protect himself earlier. Yanagi, in a fit of rage and desperation, dashes at Rin, hoping to land a decisive blow. But Rin is ready. With a swift, precise movement, Rin targets Yanagi's hand, slashing it with his sword. The impact is brutal, severing Yanagi's hand and rendering him incapable of wielding his weapon. Yanagi stumbles back, clutching the stump where his hand once was, his eyes wide with shock and fear. Rin's calm, composed demeanor only makes the situation more terrifying for him. For the first time, Yanagi feels the full weight of his impending defeat. Rin's voice is filled with hatred as he coldly reminds Yanagi that he should never have laid a hand on his little sister, vowing never to forgive him for that mistake. With a decisive strike, Rin drives his sword into Yanagi's chest, delivering a fatal blow. Yanagi collapses to the ground, blood pouring from his wounds. As he realizes he is unable to move, his consciousness begins to slip away as the bitter truth of his defeat sinks in. He had never anticipated losing to Rin. Until the very end, he believed Rin was within his grasp. But Rin had used everything at his disposal, magic-stealing swords, invisible barriers and teleportation, to corner him, ultimately stabbing him in the heart without hesitation. As Yanagi looks up at Rin's cold, unfeeling eyes, he asks with a weak voice if Rin has ever killed anyone before. Rin, expressionless, replies that this is his first. Yanagi manages to smirk, acknowledging that Rin must be a real monster. He recalls the first time he took a life. His hands trembled as he gripped the knife, and even though it was in self-defense, the weight of taking a life nearly crushed him. But now, it is clear that Rin is in a completely different league. With that final thought, Yanagi takes his last breath, his lifeless body falling to the ground in defeat as Rin stands tall, victorious. Rin gains experience and levels up to 121. He is notified that the Steel skill mark has been removed from him and a new skill has been added to him, Steel level 1. If you think about it, in order to remove the mark of stealing, the consent of the bearer himself is required. So Rin thinks that he will finally remove the mark from him himself. Maybe Yanagi wants him to receive this ability, or maybe he himself receives this ability from someone during a murder, but he will never know. And he won't wait for Rin to control this power the same way he does. By the end of the fight, he has 3680 mana left. It seems like victory is his anyway, but if they drag it out, it will end badly. He is saved by two things in this fight. The first is the reward he receives in the Bash, Greed, which absorbs magic. And the second is that thanks to pumping the skill dungeon movement, he acquires the skill instant teleportation. Both of these powers are not only incredibly powerful, but also do not require much mana expenditure. He is able to verify this himself in battle. Without these powers, given Yanagi's intelligence, the fight might end differently. One false move in this fight, showing compassion towards the enemy, and Yanagi will quickly take advantage of it. When he approaches Hana, he asks if she is okay. She hugs him without thinking, breathing a sigh of relief. She is very scared. Rin apologizes for being late, and she has to see this fight, but that isn't the case. Rin comes to her aid right away, so she is worried about him and wonders if he can handle Yanagi. She is afraid that she will lose him after this fight, but Rin pats her on the head, telling her that it is over and apologizing for making her worry. But the main thing to her is that he is okay. He is fine, but he decides to ask if she has been hit by that dagger that is flying straight at her. She replies that not once, but all, thanks to Rin's impenetrable wall. This skill can be activated not only on oneself, but also cast on another. So for the fight with Yanagi, he casts Impenetrable Wall on Hana. He has to maintain this skill every 60 seconds, so he has almost no mana left at the end of the fight. Hana turns to him and notes that it turns out that Rin is very strong. He apologizes for not telling, but she isn't mad at all. After all, she herself has to hide a special skill from others. So she understands that if a person hides something, there are good reasons for it. Then, Rin promises to tell her everything when they get home. Hana deserves to know the path he has taken. However, now he wants to enjoy the fact that it's all behind him. So he tells her that he is very glad that she is safe and sound. The people outside are worried about Yanagi and Hana. Katagiri goes to rescue them, but he never returns. They are just beginning to think they have a problem with an aunt when suddenly someone sees a man coming out of the dungeon. It is Hana, looking scared. The people immediately run to her because they are glad that she is safe, but they ask her why she is alone. Rin knows that she will be asked questions like this, so they prepare themselves. She tells them that they are trying to get out of the dungeon, but during an attack by another monster, she gets separated from Yanagi, and in the end, she manages to get out of the dungeon alone. Then people breathe a sigh of relief disbelief and wonder what happens to the rest. Rin comes running from behind. He apologizes for being late for training and asks what is going on. In order to leave the dungeon unnoticed, he has to use the dungeon movement skill because if he leaves with Hana, many questions will arise. So it is decided to use his secret ability without attracting unnecessary suspicion, and it seems to have worked. But there is still a problem. In the form of Yanagi and Katagiri, suddenly the girl in charge of the dungeon announces that she has contacted the Dungeon Association, and they will soon arrive and rescue the remaining party members. 30 minutes have already passed. They are still waiting, but Yanagi and Katagiri still haven't returned. A stone tablet is found near their bodies. It says that Yanagi kills Katagiri. It is hard to believe. He never seems like the type of person capable of such outrage. They should conduct a thorough investigation. However, if Yanagi has the steal skill, he can be responsible for the death of the adventurer who has the Monster Lord skill, and then everything will fit. There is no denying the fact that the Lord of Monsters has died in the dungeon under mysterious circumstances, but they can't accuse just anyone of murder without any physical evidence. They decide to continue the investigation and find out the whole truth about their death. The tablet is left by Rin, which is not surprising. He writes down everything that happens, omitting details about himself. He can't let people know the truth about his skill, and yet he can't help but tell people about all of Yanagi's atrocities and the fact that he uses his position in the association to kill innocent people. All he can do is retell the facts of what has happened, but it is unlikely that suspicion will fall on him since he is supposedly late for training. One of the investigators wonders who has left the sign. There may be an observer inside the dungeon at the time of the incident, and for some personal reasons, he does not want to reveal his identity, one of the investigators says. They decide to check everyone who comes out of the dungeon today and also to question the victims. So he turns to the people. He understands that although they are tired, he sincerely sympathizes with what they all have to go through, but he would like to ask them all of questions. The questions are like, when and how does the monster appear? How many monsters do they meet? What kind of relationship do Yanagi and Katagiri have? And so on. In the end, the agents from the association do not learn anything new. The investigation will continue and they are all sent home. Rin and Hana have already returned home by evening. Suddenly, someone knocks on his room door. It is Hana. She asks permission to sleep with him today. Considering what she has been through, Rin understands her completely. They haven't slept in the same bed for quite some time. She turns to him and thanks him for saving her, but he strokes her head again and says that there is no need to express gratitude because he is her older brother, so it is his duty. But she admits that she has experienced so many disappointments today. She becomes an adventurer, hopes of becoming stronger, and not relying on him alone. But in the end, he comes back and saves her life. He doesn't think he'll ever hear something like that from her lips. But facing such a nightmare might weaken her desire. She wants to gain strength as soon as possible. Without relying on others, be able to stand up for yourself or more. Be the one who is able to save not only yourself but also others from danger. This strong desire comes from the depths of her heart, and he is sure that with such a strong desire, she will achieve a lot. Rin shares her feelings, but he says that no matter what she is facing, and no matter how hard it is, she has to understand that she is not alone. She sees for herself that her older brother will come to her aid wherever she is. Hana looks at him silently. She becomes embarrassed and asks what kind of sister complex he has, and if she can't tell him such embarrassing things. But it is already late, so they wish each other good night and go to bed, so they both sleep soundly until the morning. It brings back long forgotten, pleasant memories for him. A couple of days have passed since then. Rin feels strange as he returns to the Tower of Isolation again. After touching it, he uses dungeon movement. As expected, he doesn't teleport, and yet the tower is no different from a normal dungeon. All the conditions for using the skill are met, but dungeon movement doesn't work, but he doesn't know why. There are many oddities associated with this tower. As she moves forward, each floor seems to represent a different world. There is even a floor with a real sky, although all this is clearly happening inside the tower, and this simply can't be. And this leads him to only one thought. There is no isolation tower behind these walls. It is in a completely different dimension, a tower with an isolated space, hence its name. And yet, how difficult it is, he still has a lot of questions about why he doesn't receive, for example, third award. What is it really like, and what conditions does he not fulfill to receive it? And also, why does the tower decide to show him a broadcast of what is happening to Hana as a second reward? And this makes him wary. There is a possibility that the system can read his mind and identify what he values most and offer it to him as a reward, but he does not remember the words themselves. As if the tower has spoken, it is not the voice of the system, but a voice filled with emotion, as if an ordinary person is speaking. And hearing this voice, he feels a charming nostalgia. He wonders what kind of tower this is, where do the dungeons or levels come from, and most importantly, who is the owner of this voice. He wants to get answers to all these questions, but apparently there will be no answer. He has nothing to do, and it is time for him to return. In the future, If he has the opportunity to talk to the system again, there is something he has to do. Suddenly, he sees someone's hair ahead. It is some girl who asks Rin if he is the same Amani Rin. She does not expect to meet him in such circumstances, but she will not hide that she is glad of such an accident, and she introduces herself as Claire. She says that she comes here to finally meet him. The day before, the guildmaster of the Moonlit Night Guild calls Claire to his office. When he sees her, he greets her and gives her some papers. Among the papers is a photograph of Rin. The guildmaster jokes that this guy is probably her type, but she doesn't understand what he is talking about. This photo is more of a concern than a heartthrob, she admits. It turns out that in some way he interests her, so the guildmaster gives her this photo. She snorts that he isn't listening to her at all, but she still asks who it is in the photos, and the master says it is Amani Rin. She has heard this name before among other adventurers, but asks why he has given her his photo. He thinks about starting to recruit new people into their ranks, and he calls her to personally recruit him. She has never heard of him distinguishing himself in any way. He replies that on the surface, everything is actually not so, and he is clearly hiding what he do. Claire asks where he gets the reason to think that. Then he shows her a piece of paper. It is a report about the murder of adventurers in the training dungeon. But what does Rin have to do with it? She asks. That is a good question. It will tell you everything that happens. His younger sister is among the participants in this training. After what happens, he runs to the scene of the crime, but she does not see anything special in this. He is informed that his sister is in danger. Of course, he arrives at the scene as soon as he finds out. And that makes some sense. And now he asks her to look at one photograph. It is a stone tablet with some kind of inscription. The master says that this stone tablet is found with the bodies of the dead, and it describes everything that happens. It is said that Yanagi is the main culprit of what happens. Using his unique skill, he lures adventurers into a trap, kills them, and then takes the skills for himself. Katagiri is a victim. The plaque also says that Yanagi kills him. That is all. It is a little strange for Claire. It is very clear that the public might think that both Yanagi and Katagiri are victims, and the killer is a third person who leaves the dungeon unnoticed. But if that is the case, why leave a sign at the crime scene with a retelling of all the events? You might think that this sign is created to confuse everyone, but if Yanagi is a murderer, then that changes everything. Recently, there has been an increase in the deaths of adventurers with unique skills under mysterious circumstances. And what a coincidence Yanagi is acquainted with all of them. The association investigates the matter and comes to the conclusion that the entire story on the tablet is true. After that, Claire understands everything. There is a third person in the dungeon who witnesses all the events, but he manages to leave the dungeon unnoticed, which means that he manages to leave the dungeon before the association staff arrives. An amateurine appears. Just as the search begins, the master doesn't know how he manages to get out and into the dungeon unnoticed. But the fact that his sister is in the dungeon with the murderer, this sign, and his unexpected appearance looks too suspicious. The master asks her how she feels about his conclusions. She replies that they are quite logical, and if his theory is correct, then Rin is quite a strong adventurer. The Yanagi and the monster corpses found in the dungeon are all level 10,000. A normal adventurer wouldn't be able to win in such a fight. People start talking about Rinna about a year ago, but it is difficult to acquire such power in such a short time. Therefore, the guildmaster thinks that Amanirin has a unique skill that allows him to move around the area. She is amazed and says that his power is just incredible. The master is of the same opinion, but when he first becomes an adventurer, he is an unknown boy, and he does not know how he manages to obtain such power. And there is a high probability that it is he who defeats the last boss of the Kenzaki dungeon. After all, if he has the skill of conditional teleportation, he will be able to enter the closed room to the last boss. That's what the master is hinting at. If that's the case, then he understands why Rin hides such power. Strong people can always be used or forced into something, and she knows this. That's why he chooses her for this role, she asks. But in fact, the master is sure that he will immediately refuse the old man and will not listen. But when such a beautiful girl invites him to the guild, then what guy can resist? She is such a beauty. Claire, to be honest, doesn't really want to fulfill his request after such words. Rin really interests her, and when the master hears this, he decides to give her something that she will find useful. This is his residential address, so he relies on it. It is quite easy for him to get such things, but considering how many connections they have in the government and the association, it is not surprising. She wonders what kind of person Amane Rin is. And so Claire stands right in front of Rin. Rin stands there in a stupor, so Claire asks him if everything is okay. He replies that everything is fine and addresses her politely, but she asks not to bother with it because they are the same age and excessive politeness is not necessary. Rin finds her very strange. She asks him not to address her with respect, but in the end, she speaks to him formally. He decides not to delay the conversation and asks what he owes to her because she has appeared here so unexpectedly that he can't even imagine what she wants. She apologizes as she should notify him of her visit in advance, but he no longer cares. So Claire decides to get straight to the point and says that she comes here to invite him to join her guild. After all, their guildmaster becomes interested in him. He asks her to recruit Rin. He doesn't understand what that means or why they need it. They usually recruit adventurers with unique skills. Claire says that they can discuss everything in their office. It is in the city, the headquarters of the Moonlit Night Guild. Rin has heard that this guild is known for spotting talent in newcomers and helping them develop, and Yui wants to join it too. If he doesn't mind, it would be better to continue their conversation directly with the guild master, she says. He starts to think about what he should do. He, of course, thinks about joining a guild for the sake of constant support, and he gets the chance to join such a promising guild. At the moment, he isn't going to join anything. Being in a guild imposes its own restrictions. Being a newbie, it's much easier to level up. But that isn't what is important. What is important is why they need him. Since he hides his true abilities to others, he is just an ordinary, average adventurer. So why would they recruit someone like him? He doesn't think Claire will answer this question, and it would be better to ask the guildmaster himself. Besides, he has a feeling that he should refuse her, but he still agrees to listen to their guildmaster, and he himself will make a decision. After that, Claire walks him to the car. In the car, the driver looks at him angrily, but then turns to the road. Why does he look at him with such bloodlust? He already thinks that it is his imagination. Rin then asks Claire how she knows he will be in that particular place. She replies that it is pure chance. She intends to go to his house, but while driving in the car, she sees his figure in the window and hurries out. Even if it is a coincidence, one can consider that he is simply lucky to stumble upon them. The fact that they know their address makes him a little wary. He asks why their guild is interested in him. Suddenly, he sees some light in the distance. It is a huge magical surge, and for that much magic to escape the dungeon means only one thing. It is a dungeon collapse. If you don't kill the final boss of the dungeon, all the monsters will flood into the city. When Rin wants to ask about the dungeon, she already confirms his thought. This is a B rank dungeon with a recommended level of 15,000 to conquer Phantom Light Dungeon. This is an abnormally high level for local adventurers. Claire needs to get to the collapse site immediately, so she apologizes and asks if he will mind rescheduling their conversation for another date. Rin is surprised that she is going to go there. If they are the same age, then she is around 19 years old. He wonders how she can fight monsters of that level, not to mention that during the collapse, the monster's strength is increased. But he thinks that Yagami, her driver, will go with her. He shouldn't get involved in this. A fight with monsters of this level can be fatal for him, and even if he manages to defeat them, they will learn about their true powers. But still, he says that he will go with her. A few hours ago, while Hana is at school, he is calmly going about his business, one of which is an experiment. In order to finally get the reward that is taken away from him, he decides to return to the Tower of Isolation using the dungeon movement skill. If he succeeds, this experiment will last several days, and it will require careful preparation. The news says that the youngest adventurer, the only one among his peers who reaches the 100,000 level, shocks the world the other day. This significantly changes the S rank ranking system, but he turns off the TV so as not to listen to this news. He doesn't have the luxury of watching others progress. Now it is more important to become stronger. Having prepared himself, he begins to move forward. But for some reason, even as he walks towards the isolation tower, the news he hears while still at home does not leave his head, and he only finds out the reason for this several hours later. Claire asks if he is sure he wants to enter the collapsing dungeon and if he understands the danger of what is happening. He is well aware of this, but if he goes with her, then at least he will help evacuate the civilians. Yagami says that if Rin wants it, but there is no point in stopping him. He is not a member of their guild and is free to make such decisions himself and take responsibility for them. Besides, they have already arrived at the Phantom Light Dungeon. Thanks to the adventurers who are present at the collapse, the monsters are still being held back. When they arrive, Claire tells the adventurers here that they are reinforcements and asks them to report on the situation. Monsters suddenly pour onto the surface, and the adventurers try their best to hold them back. And the squad to conquer the last boss has not arrived yet. It's understandable. Usually when a dungeon collapses, a squad of adventurers whose rank is higher than the dungeon itself is sent to fight the final boss. This is a B rank dungeon, which means a party of A rank adventurers with a level of around 20,000 should arrive. Suddenly something starts to happen around the dungeon. It is an earthquake. The same thing happens in Kenzaki's dungeon. A huge Cyclops monster suddenly emerges from the dungeon. Apparently, this is the last boss of the dungeon to come to the surface. When Rin assesses him, he finds out that Cyclops is level 40,000. The adventurers here are horrified. But Rin can't just let it go, not with a nameless sword. He doesn't care if everyone knows about his power, but he can't leave people here to die. But he just wonders if he will be able to defeat this Cyclops at all. Right now, his level is just above 13,000, but using the nameless sword, his attack power and speed will skyrocket to level 40,000. However, one wrong move and he will die. But that isn't even the problem. And the fact that they are outside the dungeon, in other words, his dungeon movement skill simply won't work, which weakens Rin significantly. If he is inside the dungeon, it will move into his stomach and kill him from the inside. But still, he doesn't intend to just stand there and do nothing. Cyclops has already begun to slowly advance towards Rin. He is already prepared for battle, when suddenly, Claire tells him to stop. She stands in front of him and looks at the Cyclops, who swings to strike. Rin yells at her to stop because it is dangerous. But Claire doesn't do that. Instead of stopping, she just stretches out her hand and says, "Ice Burial Sword." A sword that looks like the ice sword appears in front of her and she grabs it. When she waves it in front of her, she instantly disappears from the spot. It looks like she teleports. But it isn't like that. It is just so fast that the human eyes simply can't follow it. One swing, she makes a cut along the Cyclops' body. She does a somersault in the air and lands softly on the ground. And a moment later, the Cyclops splits in half, thereby dying. Inside, he is frozen and Cyclops falls apart, falling to the ground. Rin immediately remembers the news he hears on TV about an adventurer who reaches level 100,000. He already thinks that Claire is that adventurer. Claire remembers that other than what guild she belongs to, she doesn't tell him anything about herself. She then introduces herself as a member of Moon Knight, the 12th S-rank adventurer in Japan, Kisaragi Claire.